Hello, everyone. Now you can hear me. You will be able to listen to Cleaner409. I know, I know I'm muted. I know I got the L's. Everybody give me the L's in chat. It's fine. It's fine. When I see some L's in chat, it's fine. I'm still not coming home, Big Soda. I'm still not coming home. This Christmas. Oh, man. So today we're gonna be talking about dating. We had a small talk with Cleaner about 2 weeks ago about dating, and we're gonna continue the conversation about dating. As I said, we're gonna be having this discussion. We're gonna be agreeing and probably disagreeing on a bunch of stuff. Hopefully, the conversation goes well, and we can have a great time. And everybody, can anyone confirm that you can hear me now so that I don't feel like a total failure as a streamer, even though I am? Kidnapping
Can you hear
sometimes.
me now?
Yeah, they can hear you, yeah. They can hear me, they can hear you. What do you think about that, Cleaner? Does kidnapping count as dating?
Self mute.
Self-mute.
I used the off stream yard mute for a moment. Um, I mean, dating is taken way out of whack when we're talking about social media, and it scares a lot of people. And I mean, it's an intimidating thing enough for people. So I think there's a lot to it nowadays, especially with all the radical accusations that go on and the insanity that happens within people's homes, and there's a lot to talk about on this subject.
Yeah, there's a lot that we can talk about. Okay, people are trolling me, I think, because I can see my levels and everything seems to be fine, but they're still saying sounds. So I'm gonna have to unmute these, and I'm gonna hear myself through you because that's the only way I can check it. Yeah, there it is. I can hear myself. So screw you, chat. Check your audio.
Yeah, they might need to refresh. I just checked the stream and we're at identical audio levels almost, so we should be
Yeah,
good.
yeah, we're fine. Yeah, I'm looking to the side, and the side looks fine on my end. Cause I have OBS over there, so I can see. You all look so funny
At
talking
some
without
point.
audio. Jesus, it's my mod, which is the worst, by the way. It's like a mod telling you that kind of stuff. You
No, that's the best mods. The best mods will keep you on your toes, Emmett.
can. Yes, the best mods will be there to troll you. Yeah.
They'll
So
keep you thinking.
I heard during the panel, during the dating panel you were on, that you're going back into like the dating market lately, after your wife passed, and you've been thinking about that, right?
Yeah, I have been. It's been new and different from what I was used to in my 20s and in my teens. Very, very different.
What do you think is the biggest difference between like your 20s to now?
Um, I would say the interpersonal, like in person, interpersonal relationship building aspect of it. I think that would be the biggest difference because like when I grew up 80s, 90s, so when we were talking to people during that time frame, we were talking in person a lot of the time. We had a social dynamic with a group of people or one on one with one person specifically, and we learned how to talk to each other, how to relate to each other as far as like issues we're having in life, wants, desires, plans, goals in life, things like that. We learned how to talk to each other.
Mhm.
And so I think now with a lot of the tech that's there, people don't have to do that in front of each other. So the risk isn't there. So there's a difference in the electrochemical reactions in the brain. You don't have the same endorphins, the same connection that's going on with people as you used to when you'd meet them in person. So I think that's a large factor in everything that we're seeing right now as far as relationships breaking up so much. Because without that beginning build up going the same way that it happened throughout all of human history up until recently,
Yeah.
it's like we're fighting our biology in a way. So it makes it a lot harder.
I think one of the other reasons, or one of the other problems that we're seeing right now when it comes to like dating in general, is the amount of, well, a lot of people say there's a lot of options, but I see the amount of attention that some people get on the internet, and the amount of
Hmm.
like possibilities they have on the internet to um, like meet people that would not be possible beforehand, right?
Very true. And I mean, the thing is, like, we've always had people that were like attention seekers, you know?
Yeah.
And when I look at what we have right now, I mean, what do we have? A couple million people who are streaming in America, and I mean, so it's like out of the 350 million, a couple million are streaming. I think we probably actually have the same amount of attention seekers as we had before. The problem, though, is that all of the other 350 million people who see these people who are very hyperbolic, over energetic about things, sometimes radical, sometimes insane, we think that's the whole world, but it's not. That's less than 1% of the population.
But those are the people that are streaming. But let's talk. We can think about the people that are just in social media, and those people also attract attention. And there
Sure.
is a certain amount of. I would say this is more in towards the side of the woman, because they're usually the ones that are way more open with, like, they like the attention, and they're more likely to be into the internet spaces, putting up what they like, or putting up pictures of themselves, or going outside and being like, I'm just sharing with my friends. But
Hmm.
you're kind of not. You're sharing with a lot more people than that.
Yeah, and the Facebook thing kind of showed us that. I mean, it was MySpace at first, and people went through that, and then the privacy era happened with MySpace, and then Facebook came along, and then all the privacy settings came. But nobody implements any of those privacy settings to make sure that only their actual friends and family can see what they're posting. Like very few people do. So yeah, what you're saying is true. Like Facebook introduced this concept of people being able to short stream all of what they're doing throughout their life. Instagram, TikTok, all these other things added to it and blew it up. Snapchat, even. My daughter was telling me about Snapchat. I'd never used that crap, but apparently that's just as bad, if not worse, because as soon as you're done, whatever you did is deleted and gone. So there's no accountability for anything you do on it. So it's like, damn, all right, I mean, it's changed the dynamic quite a bit, and it has definitely made the more attention-seeking people more hyperbolic in their attention seeking. The ones that are like driven for that, obviously not like the general streamers like you or me. Like uh, I mean, if I was an attention seeker, I think I'd be putting out content by now, but I still don't do that shit.
Well,
And you've had a real slow rise to it. Finally doing it because people are like, "Do it, Emmett."
well, I do think I'm kind of an attention seeker. I'm not gonna go ahead and be like, I'm not, because I believe that to put yourself out in the internet, you can have a little bit of narcissism in you, to be like, you have to listen to what I got to say. There's
Sure,
not
that's fair.
necessarily like the people that go on panels. Some people that go on panel are like more there because they think they have something to add. But if you have like a
Mhm.
channel and you go online and you're like giving like, for example, I made a video against libertarians. It's like, who would give a crap about my take on libertarianism if I don't pretend that I give a crap about my take on libertarianism, right? Like, I
Mhm.
believe that I'm correct. I'm gonna give my take about libertarianism. That's pretty much what I think. It's part of the thing. I do think that I decided to do it, and I'm getting to like the whole movement of it, and I try not to be on my head when it comes to it. I'm like, I'm just a small streamer. I'm trying to grow, and I'm trying to figure out where am I in this media, in this kind of new media world. But I do believe that I do have a little bit of narcissism in me to be out there putting myself out there.
Well, and I wouldn't even call it narcissism. I would just say that within the realm that we do things in, like for me, I don't really care too much about creating the content, but I do care about the fight that we've got. I do care about the war that we're fighting right now on what is evil. And so I
Hmm.
come out here because I want to do that. I've always been a background guy. I don't like doing things in the spotlight, but I recognize that I'm a little more affluent than some people. So I want to be able to make the point and talk to people and change their minds.
Yeah,
So I do this. But I think there's also people who uh much like me, when they know that they can get in there and say something to help, they want to do it. They shy away from it though with the camera type thing. I don't blame them for that. There's a lot of social stipulations that come along with it. So you have to be willing to deal with all of that. And I think it's just a give a shit. It's like how much do you have to lose versus how much do you care about what you're losing, you know? And versus how much you know you're going to change the world, or how much do you care about trying to help change the world, you know?
yeah,
But I do think within the attention seeker mentality, it's a very different metric. It's kind of it's kind of more the oxytocin. They get the high off of people constantly coming in and, oh, you're so awesome, queen, or that
yeah.
kind of thing, you know. And I'm not just restricting it to women. Obviously, men and women both can do this kind of hyperbolic attention-seeking behavior. But I just mean in that realm, I mean, it's definitely something that we've seen, which has taken a prevailing amount of space in social media.
Yeah, well, the other part is you, and this is a problem that a lot of people have, especially if they don't have a good belief system. I think it's if you go online and you start getting people that are kind of influencing you and you're influencing them, you can get a lot of feedback from those people that are not
Hmm.
actually helping you build a coherent framework of reality. They're just like you're
Hmm.
just going on and on about the kind of same way of looking at things to the point where you're actually divorced from reality. And I think this is very this
Yeah.
can happen a lot to persons that don't have this kind of a good framework of what is of the world, right? And it can
Or
happen to both, but
someone who falls into the attention mentality too, because I mean
yeah,
we've seen it happen where like there's a couple that they just are living their life like normal, and for whatever reason the wife or husband or whatever will start taking pictures of things they're doing, sharing it on Facebook periodically, and eventually that's what they're doing almost all the time because of the attention they've gotten.
yeah.
And I do think that it's very relevant in today's dating marketplace because a lot of the times people will share personal information that should not be shared, and that can ruin a relationship.
Yeah. There's this I've been extremely, and I am still, I tend not to share like my personal life at all. I come here and I see topics and I see like political takes or things that are happening in the either the panel verse or in debates or in games or whatever, and I try to talk about those kind of topics, but I never try to come here and talk about my personal life, and I have a good reason for it. Most of it is wanna I don't want this to be like a diary. This is not my diary.
That makes sense.
This is a place to either have fun, make something entertaining, give a take, review something. Um, that's like my idea. It's like I see this kind of an investment towards a job that I can actually do, and people can have fun watching and see that there's some kind of value to it. But there's a lot of people that kind of pretty much that use these as like their diary thing, and they come up and they're like, oh, this is my life, and this is like very open, and I think that's way more
Yeah.
akin to an attention seeker person, as you say. That would be something that
Hmm.
they would do way more than a person that's trying to find something entertaining or try to give some kind of take when it comes to that internet space.
I generally agree with you on that. I think there are some like extreme or some exceptions to that generality. like some small ones, but yeah, generally speaking, I'd agree with you. I think that attention seeking mentality can lead them down to a path of destruction, and they don't even realize it. Letting out all your personal information. That's another reason why I tend to let out just very little whenever I'm talking online about my actual views, my actual personal life, things like that.
Yeah.
Um,
I
the
think we
girls
have
I'm
a
dating, I won't even call by name. So,
yeah. I think well when it comes to the views, we'll go back to dating, but when it comes to like the views, I'm very open about my kind of views when it comes to like my worldview, because that's what I'm trying to protect. That's what I'm actually trying to get out in a sense,
hmm
right? So that would be like kind of a difference between us. You're more close with your personal views. You still go out, debate, have a good time doing this kind of stuff, but we don't know much about what are your actual ideas when it comes to the world. And I'm the opposite, right? I'm like I'm a monarchist. I don't care. You can we can talk about that, but I am this. I believe in this kind of thing. And I have no problem telling you what I believe in that aspect and defending it to the best of my ability. Obviously, I'm not saying that I do it great all the time, but I think we see that in a different light. So that's why I think I do have some kind of narcissism in me. Like I am correct, and I want the attention, and I want you to listen to me as well, and we'll all be better because of it.
yeah, I guess I could see that. I mean, to a small degree, perhaps. I I think the term narcissism is used a little too much within social media. That's why I have such a uh, staunch approach against saying someone's being narcissistic in some way. I would personally just say that I think that when you're passionate about what you do, like you are, that passion shows through, and you want people to hear your view. And whether that is actually a form of narcissism or not, I wouldn't necessarily say that I believe it is, because you see the world, you're trying to affect the world. You've already said you're trying to get your view out there and
Yeah,
show people that your view is the right one. And so I don't necessarily think that's as much narcissism if the intent behind it is to share your view with the world. But if the intent behind it is to gain popularity because of it, that would be narcissistic. But
yeah.
I don't like using that term.
Well, it's
But
it this
this
is
relates back towards everything about dating, and this is something that people don't realize. Like, these views, how you look at the world, defines you as a person, and the person that you spend your life with is going to have to deal with that person just like you're going to have to deal with them. So it's very important for people to know this when you're sitting down having a conversation about your relationship, so that people know where they're at and they know whether or not they're compatible. Political views have been known to completely destroy relationships. So,
yeah.
it's a thing.
Well, um, well, it is true. I think it's completely true that political views destroy relationships because there's going to be a moment when you're going to see the world differently, right? Let's say that
hmm
you're with a person that is like kind of a communist, and they start talking to you about empathy, and I go on. It's like I don't even think that's real. They're gonna feel betrayed by
hmm
my observation of reality. It's like
Absolutely, yeah,
so
because
it's very
they're with you, so they're expecting you and them to line up on some of the more major things in life. That way your
mhm.
goals align, your family structuring, all that.
Well,
Yeah, it makes
sometimes
perfect sense.
sometimes I think even if you're like big structure thing of what you two want is the same, you want to have a family and you want to be together, those kind of foundational beliefs can shake things up so radically that it ends up separating the people in a sense.
True.
So it doesn't
Very
matter
true.
if you are kind of aligned in the end goal of your relationship. If your foundations start being shaky, you can actually get separated real quickly.
No, I agree. I definitely think that that's something that we've seen in society. I mean, even within like the hyperbolic people that are in the media and social media and movies and whatnot, actors and actresses. Like, yeah, we definitely know that that has played a part in a few relationships completely being destroyed. I mean,
Because
I think the major worldview between Depp and whatever that girl's name was, I can't even remember it now.
Amber
Were
Heard.
very, yeah, her. I think they had very different final worldviews, and like it's apparent that went bad.
What? You mean the crazy woman was crazy all this time? Oh no.
Yep.
Who would have seen that coming? Um, I when I, let's go with the Amber Heard thing for a second there,
Sure.
because I heard about. I believe that Depp was married before that, and he went into this kind of movie that they made together. Which, by the way, is like a nice-ish movie. He goes to Cuba. It's a communist movie, pretty sucky to be honest in the message, but it's not a bad movie when you look at how they made it. And
Yeah.
during this weird movie, he pretty much separates from the ex-wife and decides to go with this 20-year-old crazy woman. Like,
Hmm.
I understand that we are like right now saying that she's completely insane. Don't get me wrong. She's out of this. She's bad shit insane. But I think we there is a little bit of shaming that should be done to Deb for doing that kind of crap. It's like I
Sure.
understand. I completely understand that you saw this woman. You're like, oh my god, I wanna do that. But at some point, you gotta be able to
Hmm.
control yourself and be like, no, my family is way more important. My other relationship is more important. There's these other things in my life that are more important than this crazy woman that's probably gonna destroy my life anyway.
Yeah.
And
And I think that attention matrix that you were talking about earlier plays a factor in it. I really do, because within your own marriage, if you're not getting the attention that you should be getting, not like your ridiculous wants, but the attention that you should actually be getting from your wife. I mean, you will look. I'm not going to say everyone will do this, right? I wouldn't speak in a monolith about it, but I believe that everyone will look to some degree. Some people will go out and touch, and they shouldn't. And it's like, if the relationship is actually communicated correctly, if you can tell them what it is that's going on with you, then you should be able to come to some kind of resolution with your wife, or your husband, whoever it is. I don't think it's always necessary for people to go outside their marriage. I really don't.
yeah, I don't think it's necessary. But I even beyond that, I think there's a lot of there's some there there's obviously reasons what I can concede that divorce is necessary, but most of the time I say
Sure.
that there is a lot of we've lost a lot of the duty that is imbued within the family, and we've decided to not give it as much attention as I think it should have. Um,
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, I think majoritatively that's why we're seeing so many divorces. Yeah, the
yeah,
weight isn't there that used to be there, because this used to be all about a true bond with someone, um, and doing it through a church is a way of showing that bond, and the fact that you're with someone because you're choosing to be with that person, like you've chosen each other for the rest of your lives. It used to be a big thing, and now it's just like, here's your piece of paper, sign off, and you're good to go.
just
you
take the
know
piece of paper, and once you do, you're gonna be good to go. And
yeah,
if you don't like the piece of paper anymore, don't worry. You just pay a little bit more money, and the piece of paper is gone, and nothing's
yeah.
lost. And it's like, okay,
Yeah, and I think that, yeah, it's been made light of. I do think that's a really important thing about the marriage and the marriage statistics and divorce rates.
when
If we could attack that, I don't know how we would attack that exactly, other than taking away no fault divorce and making people go to counseling and things like this before divorces. I'm not really sure how else we could really attack that as a society.
there's a lot of people that say that the state should not be involved in marriage and stuff like that. I disagree with it. Not because I like the state being involved. I would prefer the church be the one, but you still need enforcement in a lot of cases when it comes to to marriage, especially if there is something bad going on, uh, like actual abuse going on. And that is the problem I have with just saying, "Oh, there's not gonna be any involvement of the government or to this institution," because at the end of the day, there are cases, or there might be cases where you do need to be able to use force because
Hmm.
of abuse or because of externalities, and
Sure.
so that's
Well,
been
and I
my,
mean,
my issue.
I would say to some degree I like the government being involved just because when you're married to someone, you want the world to know you're married to them. You don't want other
Mhm.
guys to be coming up to your wife and being like, "Hey, girl," I mean, there is a social stigmatism that goes along with a married couple. People tend to not hit on them because you're not supposed to do that. They're with it's like honorable people, I would say at least, not everybody.
Yeah, not
And I
everybody.
think that's fallen away too quite a bit, Emmett, especially with social media.
Uh, yeah, I can agree with that. And there's a lot of like the problem with degeneracy is that it will go ahead and start knowing at the basis, right? So if you there's gonna
Hmm.
be some kind of fetish that's being developed for like married couples in a sense, and there's
Sure.
nothing when your moral background or your moral grounding is whatever you want, what the person that is having those kind of things going on, those kind of
Hmm.
delusions going on, is gonna come to a point in which he says, "Well, what is this even wrong? What am I doing that is even wrong? I'm just offering a pathway for this married person that is not even happy with the marriage, in quotations, to get out of it or get something out of me." And
Hmm.
that is a very I would think that's a very like attention seeking behavior and a very bad behavior for society in general.
Yeah, I would agree. I would, but again, I think I think our end item views probably line up a lot more in terms of we're more based around the family. Like, you know, we want families. We want other people to be able to experience the beauty of having a family, things like that. So I think that we'll probably agree on most metrics that are destroying or degenerating families in any way. But
Mhm.
that mentality that you're talking about, the one that will actually go out and seek married couples, there's always been a small amount of people that had an itch in some way to do that. I think social media just made it easier for them to do it with no accountability. That's kind of something that I see within the youth. And part of why I like to do these dating talks and things like that is because I want there to be a better dating system for my kids, and when they have kids, for their kids. And
Yeah.
if we can address some history right now and get some things fixed so that we've got something in the history book so people won't repeat the mistakes later, that'd be great.
Yeah, if you can we can get rid of the mistakes now, that will be better than if we just allow the mistakes to happen over and over again.
Hmm.
Um in when it comes to there's a topic that I've been talking a little bit with Spiro when it comes to the like dating AI, and that is a that is a small can of worms that I don't think it's been actually tackled at all. There's a lot of people that have some kind of they're putting out these LLMs that are designed to pretty much please you in any way they can, and if you start having like these kind of conversations with these kind of things, they will pretty much do anything they can to please you in a way,
Yeah, they lie
and
to you.
yeah, they will lie to
Yeah.
you. They actually take into account like your biases according to what they see of you. Or if you don't like a reply and you're like, hey, give me this kind of other reply, or give me this,
Mm.
it will start trying to get to the point in which it's just pleasing you and it wants more and more interaction with you.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
I do think that there's a very big they can be a real big problem with LLMs and people like that are just looking for like some kind of pleasure when it comes to
Well, I think
relationships.
the LLM AI dating things tend to use the same algorithms that the large language models already use for our search engines and things like that. They're trying to keep your attention on them as much as they can so that they make money. The whole thing is all about money making. And
Yeah.
so if they pester you throughout the day by sending you whatever messages or whatnot, they're trying to get you to be back on the app so that they're getting their revenue. It's the same thing with the Google searches. Nowadays you don't search a Google term and actually get back what you're wanting anymore. Now you have to do two or three. You have to almost be a coder in order to do a Google search and get what you want the very first time you search for it. And it's made this way by these guys that are up at the top who are all about growth, not about results. If your mindset is all about growth, then everything you create, including the AI dating stuff, including dating apps for people, it's all going to be about growth of money, and that's where it's always going to be. If it changes, if we and this is something I've said before, our technology is where it needs to be right now. If we were more altruistic, we would actually be doing better as a species. We don't have to do away with all of the greed in society, but if we could paramount the altruism, if we could make the altruism the thing that is the most important for us and not the greed, I think we would be in a much different place right now than where we're at.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I remember during one of the conversations we're talking about how dating apps used to work, that they would take into account like different. They would try to make a relation between your uh, interest and the other person interest, and they will try to match in according to like interest and what kind of things you had in common. And it was pretty much
Hmm.
removed completely to there's a picture of the person and you get to pick and choose if you get some kind of interaction with them. It doesn't matter like
Hmm.
the traits or the interest or nothing that matters anymore. It's just a picture and you go left or right. That was the way that they changed that. And
Yeah.
it's a very like at the beginning it seems like a very good business model because the people are already there that had these pre had the presupposition that this was a way to meet people that you can actually have some kind of relationship with, and it was kind of working for a while, especially in the early 2000s. Then it was
Yeah.
completely changed to these kind of attention seeking behavior instead of trying to find people that can match with each other.
Hmm. And we've seen this throughout the evolution of social media. Almost all social media platforms are now some kind of dating or hookup platform, with very few exceptions.
Yeah.
I mean, even Instagram, like when I made an Instagram and started sharing out some of the different technological things that I was making and whatnot, and giving guidance to people on things, I started getting hit up by chicks in there like, "Hey, are you dating?" And I'm like, "No, dude, no, no, no. That's not what this is for. This is specifically just a technology how to and teaching people stuff and safety stuff. And why are you bugging me with that shit?" And but I've learned through my kids, almost every app that's out there that people talk on or socialize on is now a dating app in some format. Even Discord has all these little dating sites that are added to it, or dating groups, dating servers that are on it, and they try to recruit people to come in, and they have ads on those, and the people running them make money off of it. It's changed so much that everything is about trying to get money out of people in whatever way you can. And these dating apps just show it. Like they're really obvious with it too.
The whole point of well, that's the business model. The business model is we're gonna go ahead, grab as much attention from these people, and in order for to get them like the extra stuff that we believe is gonna give them the edge, then you have to make a payment, and that is like that's a very especially for men, I think it's like a very natural thing for men to do. It's like, oh, I can use this tool, and this tool is gonna get me ahead. Oh, I see it as a tool. I'm gonna get the tool to get
Yeah,
ahead. I'm not entirely sure
I
if it
agree.
works the same for a woman because I am not a woman and I I don't think like one. But I do see that as a predatory way, especially when it comes to men, and especially when it comes to dating.
Well, there's definitely a difference between having a male profile or a female profile on a dating app. Typically, the model is built around pulling money from the males and making it free for the females because the females are the attractive source that
Mhm.
gets the males to come to it to spend money on it.
There's also
But I,
less. There's also less
yeah,
female than male. Like I think that the when I was
sure.
debating someone, it was 80-20. So there's a lot less female than male in those kind of platforms.
On the dating apps, yeah. Yeah, there probably are. I don't know the exact metrics on all of them. I know the couple of them that I had looked at in the past was like Hinge and Tinder. And yeah, it was, I don't think Hinge was 80-20. I think it was like 70 something and 20 something. And Tinder was closer. It was in the 40s to 50s, the 40%, 40 something versus 50 something, female to male. So I mean, even there, yeah, there was more men, but there were more women than in some of the other applications. But the thing is also though, is that a lot of these apps are used by third parties or flat out hookers, prostitutes, or people who are on their OnlyFans site or whatever site trying to sell their content, or disingenuous people, people that aren't there for actual dating.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Or they're there just for the hookup, right? It's just they just all
Hmm.
they're looking for is a hookup. They don't really care about the dating aspect or even dating in general. They're like, oh, and I can see that. If I'm 6'4", good looking, I'm young, and I can just go into these kind of apps and get a picture on, and I get a ton of attention as a guy. Why wouldn't I do it? And I'm not really interested in having a date with these people or a relationship with these people.
That's it's interesting that you bring up age. This is something I've heard a lot of on a lot of different dating shows, and this whole age gap thing. Something that I've seen. I don't know if this is everybody. I can't tell you. I wouldn't consider myself a really attractive guy. I think I'm probably a 4 or 5 at best.
Mhm.
But I get more dates by girls in their 20s, mid to late 20s, than I do by women in my own age group. And it's not that I don't connect with them. I mean, if I don't, I'm not even going to take them out. I want to talk to them a little bit before. But this is something that I think people don't really have an approachable way of understanding correctly without just being able to embrace reality and understanding the reality of things. It's like as guys get older, to a certain extent and up to a limit, we do get more attractive because we gain resources. We figure our frame out. We start working out, or we hold our workout routine or whatnot. But we make more money over time. We have nicer houses, nicer cars, things like that. So I don't even think that nowadays, with the social engineering revolution, I don't even think we have uh, the youth, the younger guys that are getting near as much attention as the older ones. I
Mm.
think the guys in their 30s and 40s probably get a lot more attention than the guys in their early 20s or mid 20s.
Well, I think it depends. If you're looking for a relationship, I think I think if women are looking for a relationship, they would look at those kind of things. So they will be like, oh, this is the guy. He has this kind of resources. I can see a future with this person because of this kind of security, etc. But when, as I said, if you're looking for like a hookup, I don't see a
Hmm.
reason why they will be even looking at that kind of stuff. They might be even accepting some, not necessarily a bomb, but they will be accepting like the future proposal of the thing when it comes to men that are younger, because that's what I see when it comes
Well,
to young relationships when they're young. It's like they're looking at the potential of them both together going out into the world. Meanwhile,
Yeah, I
under.
I see that. I see that. I don't. The thing is, I think it's different between men and women. Is like
Hmm.
and it kind of like it shows itself. Like women will date someone that's within like one number of themselves without makeup, right?
Yeah.
And like because they understand how they look without makeup, they know what that's like. The delusional women will try to get people who are only above them with makeup. Um, but
Well,
then
I
there's
don't.
the crazy hot matrix too that takes
Yeah.
some of that into account. But guys will date, and I mean, as ridiculous as this sounds, a guy will date a girl that's like a 3 or a 4 if he's a 5, 6, 7, and be okay with it if she's a really good girl to him, you
Yeah.
know? It's so I get there's a differential there, and I get there's extremes, right? We've always got the crazy people, but generally speaking, yeah, I think there's a difference. I
I,
do.
I I do think that you are correct on that. There's another set of crazies that what they're looking for is not necessarily the looks, it's the wealth. And that
Yeah,
is like the ones that are like, oh yeah, I want them to be making 2 million a month. It's like, are you out of
yeah,
your mind? Do you know how much money is that? It's like,
I
uh,
agree. And I used to put those in the small percentage extreme category.
mhm.
Nowadays, what I've actually seen myself, and what I've been told from a number of other guys that are out there dating too, that it's not as small a group as it used to be. The gold digger group is not as small as it used to be. It's actually a much larger group nowadays. It's like, well, I mean, I kind of understand why to an extent because our society has gotten so expensive on everything like, I understand that to an extent, but I think what we were talking about earlier, the attention getting and the social media thing has really changed that dynamic too. So more women are convinced if they have a guy that's a multimillionaire or a billionaire, that's the way to go. And so they're looking for like the 10 out of 10 perfect everything. Whereas like people who are in the dating scene talking to people interpersonally, they don't hold to that metric all the time. They want something that's as good as they can get, but like they're not ridiculous about it. They're not delusional about it.
Well, yeah, there's a difference between being delusional and like having expectations of what you want as in dating. What do you think of like age gap in dating? You think it's totally fine? Do you think there is a like, for example, I don't, in my opinion, I don't think there's any problem in age gap relationships at all. I don't care most of the time as long as it's something um, most of the time voluntary. But I do think that
Sure.
the best way for men and women to relate to each other and to have like a grow up, to have a relationship long term is like growing up together. That's like the way that I see it in the sense of when you are, say that you, the two people marry, they're like a year apart, they have kids in their 20s, they're both energetic, they can take care of them, they're having a good time, they, he's working. The 30s, their kids are have grown more, they're going
Hmm.
through like the pains of growing. The 40s, the kids are kind of grown up and they're like moving on to another side of their life together. That's how I see, but I don't see a problem, even morally or ethically, when it comes to age gap relationships. And I don't really care how big the age gap is most of the time.
Well, I I think this is a concept that's approached from what's the guy doing? What's the guy doing? Good, bad, and typically it's framed in the mindset of like the guy is in some way a predator if he's an older guy dating a younger girl.
Hmm.
But it the thing is like that's a projection thing. So like what we actually see is typically, this isn't always obviously, but typically when an older woman is dating a younger guy, it's for a very specific reason. And when an older guy is dating a younger girl, there can be a varying amount of reasons all over the spectrum. I mean, most of the time it's she's a younger chick, she's hot, her boobs are firm, they're not saggy. This, I mean, like just the attractiveness matrix right there gets just about any guy, no matter what age you're in.
Yeah,
So
they're
there's
like,
there's no way around that.
That like I like this, and this person is kind of nice
Yeah.
to me, and I can touch boobs. That's all I want. That's all I need.
Sure, and if she has a really good personality, you might be like, "You know what? You can have an army of kids. I will give you an army of kids. You have a great personality to go along with a healthy look, you know?
Yeah.
I'm great with that." And, I mean, that's the thing, though, is, like, we have different things that we each see from the age gap relationship. So women frame it where men are being predatory, but we all know that women typically project. So what women are telling us is when there's older women dating younger guys, they're being predatory. Like they only have they are and I mean there's a reason we call them cougars.
Mm. Yeah, yeah.
Cougars are not prey. They're predatory animals. Eh,
There's also these. It's interesting that you said that because I don't know if you one of the imagery that you get from Cain and Abel, the story, is that is pretty much God saying that Cain let sin get to him like a predatory cat.
mhm.
So it's like I don't know why it came to me exactly that, but it's very interesting that they are being called cougars, and I think it has to do with this kind of imagery as well.
I would agree. I would agree majoritively. I would agree. Yeah, I think it's also just like the whole cat thing. Like people assign girls different levels of cathood of some kind because girls are very catty. You know, guys are like dogs. We're loyal. We'll defend you with our life. I mean, we are very much like dogs, and girls are very much like cats, generally speaking. Like they're very behind the scenes. They like to be very luxurious, hang around. You know, I mean, and there's nothing wrong with the behaviors that we show in these respects. But I think that, like you were saying, when it comes to the dating thing, the age gap isn't really that big a deal now as it used to be. And the only thing that I ever really could say against it would be like you have a gap of maybe like 10 years might not be so bad. 20, 30 years, you start getting into a social stigmata,
Yeah,
a social stigma that has been given to these people because you're in this age gap relationship. And so, for me, I would say that the younger person in that, no matter which side it is, whether it's the man or the woman, is going to have to deal with being stigmatized as being a kid in that relationship for the rest of their life. I mean, and I don't think that's very fair to put on either of them because it is very possible that the woman or the man just grew up through life in a different like a different mindset, was
yeah,
totally focused on just building their net worth, their house, their home, their frame, and then found that they wanted a good family relationship, got into it with someone that was a little bit younger, and they have a great worldview together because neither one of them has really actually gone out and done anything, and so they're both learning life other than just making money. So I mean, there's all kinds of different interpersonals that happen within that that make age gaps really not that big of a problem nowadays. I
I
think when it's a
don't.
problem is just when we see the predatory thing.
Well, yeah, of course, I can agree with the predatory stuff, and I think we do have certain amount of stigma because of it. But at the end of the day, as I said, I don't see any kind of problem either morally or ethically. If they meet each other and they're like, yeah, I want to do this, and I want this person, and I want to have family like this, and I don't care. I don't see a reason of a specific. I don't specifically see a reason why it's like wrong. I can say that it's not the best when I don't think it's the best when it comes to the dynamic in the relationship in the long term, but even that
Hmm.
is subjective to this kind of person, right? So
Yeah.
I don't have a way to say this is wrong. This is absolutely wrong. I would say that it's not my preferred way of seeing relationships,
Hmm.
but I think it should be absolutely allowed, and people should be able to have this kind of relationships if they want to.
Yeah, I'd say I agree. I haven't seen anything morally or ethically wrong with it yet. Um, like I said, other than the extreme cases of when the woman or the man is being a predator, I don't think there's anything wrong with other forms of age gaps, like people getting into a regular age gap relationship. I do think that it is very hyperbolic in nature as far as the social media side of things. I think social media blows it out of proportion. and there will be at some point during their relationship some kind of stigma put on them that they'll have to deal with through life. That would be the one thing that I could only, I mean, like really, I couldn't come up with anything else that would be against them being in a relationship other than they're gonna have a harder life than if they were in the same age group.
Now I've heard and I've seen people, especially men, that have like problems uh finding like woman they could date or they want to date, and I'm not entirely sure what could be like the big problem on actually finding people. I think that a lot of the times it has to do with the places there are. If they don't want to go into like dating apps and stuff like that, you still have to
Hmm.
be on a place or in a setting that you can meet people that want to do this kind of that want to be in a relationship, right? And
Yeah,
I think that is I'm not entirely sure of where are these like social settings now, except for like maybe some churches that are encouraging these, or you know, people will say bars, but I don't even think that's like a good place to meet people.
I think the thing that has ruined that really is laziness. Human beings want to do, and it's nothing against people specifically. It's just we're pattern recognition machines. When we see an easier route to do something, that's the route we want to do, and our subconscious makes everything else look much harder, so that it push us in that direction. Well, dating apps do that. So if you've got 100 different dating apps on your phone and you have the option of being able to just meet somebody through a little dating app on your phone when you're sitting at home, why would you want to go out in public? Your mind creates a wall so that you don't want to do that thing. But in reality, what people do right now, if we didn't have dating apps, what people do right now is the same thing that people used to do before. We go to the same places. We still have to go to the grocery store. We still have to go to work. We still have to go and do things with our friends if we want to socialize and appeal to that issue that we have in our brain where we need to socialize with others because we're social creatures. I mean, we have all these things still that we do. It's just people don't utilize them the same that they used to because it's harder than swiping on an app.
Um.
There's risk. You could get
Well,
turned down.
yeah, yeah, and that's such a good way of looking at it because it people there's a lot of guys that will complain about not having any like matches per se in dating apps. They'll go ahead and they I've been swiping right all this time, like 150 women, I get one match. And in reality, what we used to do is like we used to go outside and see a person and just say like, "Hey, this is X, Y," and you could get a rejection of that maybe once or twice a day, let's say, right? That you're like, hey, can I have your? I really enjoy these. Can I have your number? I would like to talk to you later on. And they can say no or yes, but it will be like a very you will have one or two a day. But at the end of the day, you'll find somebody that you have like a kind of cool conversation with, that you can actually just get a number and go off from there. And right now
Yeah.
we have, I think it's like affecting both sides, because one side is like, I'm not going to approach anybody because if I do, I'm going to get rejected, like all of these times have been
Hmm.
rejected in dating apps. And the other side is like, I have so much attention that if people come to me, I don't really need more attention, right?
Hmm. Yeah. And I think it's like the laziness factor is a big thing because for guys who put themselves out there in the past, like a guy could go to a bar, hang out, and put themselves out there trying to meet a chick, right?
Mm-hmm.
And throughout the night, he'd probably meet if he kept at it. Ooh, that was a good poot there, buddy. If he kept at it, he would finally meet someone at some point that would talk to him or whatever, right? But he had to put the work in involved. He had to groom himself. He had to show up smelling nice, not smelling like the ass end of a fucking sewage truck. I mean, there were things like that, and that's work. And people don't want to have to groom correctly. People don't want to have to learn to socialize correctly. So using these apps, it's just so easy. It has made us lazy to the actual interpersonal relationships. And that affects the relationships greatly. That's why I said in the beginning, these apps and us not talking to each other interpersonally, has created the biggest deficit in relationships because people don't have that experience talking with each other. And the communication right now is just as important as it's ever been, if not more important now, because of this, because we don't have that same communication structure we used to have, where we get used to talking to the other person all the time whenever we get home or whatnot, have the
Hmm.
long, deep philosophical conversations with that person you connect with, these kinds of things. We've stuck to these little phone apps, and so everything is short, quick, sweet, to the point. Wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Get the fuck out of Dodge.
The what do you think is a good like solution to people who have like these breakdowns in communication with the other, especially with the other sex? I don't think it's, oh, at least when I have my friends, I can just go ahead and talk to them, and we have like a code in which we can communicate, or I can communicate with guys, and there's gonna be much of a problem. We can have conversations, and they're gonna be fine. But I don't know if there's like a good solution to this breakdown in communication between the sexes.
Well, there's a lot that goes into it. I would say for guys, the first thing is put the phone down for at least 30 minutes before you talk to a woman, because well, there's scientific evidence that the light that is from the phone puts you in a state of anxiety.
Mm.
So it keeps you alert, it keeps your heart rate way higher, it keeps you not thinking right, it screws with you. Put it down for about 30 minutes before you go and talk to a girl. Calm yourself down. Go and start talking to girls. And you don't even have to be talking to them for the purpose of getting a relationship. Just talking to them, understanding how girls work, like figuring them out. You're never like, men have always said, I don't know what the hell's up with women. This has always been a concept. Now it is a dominant concept throughout almost all of men. Like we've become so disconnected because we don't talk. Just getting out and talking to them is the first step. Major steps come later and they come naturally. But the biggest step is just get out of your house, go talk to someone in person.
Yeah, I would say that that's a good um that's a good way. I do see these as I would like to touch on this. This comes from Chad, and I think it's a good thing to say. So there's definitely a test says women are expensive. I'd rather spend my time on something less expensive, like homemade furniture making or a hobby farm. Um,
Sure. It's an understandable mentality. A lot of guys have seen this social media thing going on, and they understand that women are very. But the fact is, like, some of the best dates that I've had with women, the dates that have given me second or third dates or whatnot, I've actually taken them to a park, which cost me no money at all. We just hung out, and oh man, two of them were a park in the ghetto. We were just, I'm not even kidding. We were just
yeah.
sitting there bullshitting and talking. We wanted to take a walk and we found ourselves in the ghetto and there was a little park and we sat down on a bench in the park, which I felt bad for doing later because I realized I sat on fucking gum. But we had a, yeah, it was a funny story. But those funny stories create something between you, you know?
Yeah,
They create a bond between you because you have a funny story to share. And that's
and
the
you
thing about interpersonals. If you don't do that, you never have that.
yeah you don't have like this kind of it's especially like online dating when it's not someone that is close to you. It gets very jarring at points because you don't have those kind of interactions, right? You're never gonna have like this little cute story of, oh, I went to a park with this person, we're talking, and then I sit down, there was gum in the place, and we
Yeah.
had this funny thing going on. At the time I was pretty pissed off, and now we think about it, and it's like, oh, it's just funny, and
Hmm.
it's apologies. It's
Bless you.
thank you, thank you. So when you see these kind of differences in the way that we've done it in the past and we're doing it now, I understand where the interactions come. That doesn't mean, by the way, that I don't think there is a place for like online dating sometimes. you can have you can meet people that you can find to be very interesting, and move along with this kind of different different mentality. But it is
Mhm.
understandable, and you have to understand what you're getting into, and you have to have this kind of way of looking at things that is in which you understand that there's a big barrier in creating these kind of memories, at least at the moment, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, and I do think that, the dating apps and whatnot, some of them do have a place if people are being able to utilize them effectively and find somebody to spend their life with, great. That's awesome. There's nothing against that
Mhm.
if it's working for some people. I would be talking about, like, to the general population that doesn't find that, which would be most people.
Yeah, it's
Most
like
people do not find their match on a dating app and marry them and live a happily ever after lifestyle, so
it's like the other way, the other side of the coin, right? It's like the exception doesn't make the rule. We have in the in generalities, we have to find the most the thing that's going to be most effective for the general population. We cannot go ahead and just let everybody be this exception, even if they believe to be the exception. Because most of the time
Mhm.
you are not the exception, right? Most of the time you are
Yeah.
actually not the exception.
Yeah.
I remember when it was to dating, one of the things that people were saying that you could do was pretty much the same as you. It's like you can go, especially before or like 5, 10 years ago when fast food was extremely cheap. You could go to a fast food, get a cheap meal, get in on a basket, and go have a picnic, and that would be like a great date most of the time. So if you
Yeah.
didn't want to go like these expensive places, that would be like a good date. Um, and
Some
I,
good cheap ones I've had were, like, I took a couple ladies to, Waffle House. Waffle House isn't expensive at all, but, oh my god, if you love good home Southern type meals and oh,
yeah.
man. Yeah, it's definitely probably a cornery on a plate, but it's so good.
you're gonna you're gonna pay for that later. That's the way it works.
Probably. Yeah, yeah. But you don't have to spend a whole lot of money. You can do very simple things.
I
And the thing is, if you do those things and a woman doesn't appreciate it, that's not the woman that you want to be with. So
yeah,
it's okay. You just have to be okay with losing a few before you find the right one.
yeah, it's true. If you're having this kind of small dates, at the end of the day, they are kind of small dates. They might be a little bit like they might go a little bit beyond what you think you should be spending, but you having if you start with small dates, especially when you're meeting them for the first time, you'll get to know them when things are not great, for example, and that is gonna
Yeah,
happen. If you think you're gonna like life can be great for a lot of people, but if you think life is gonna be great all of the time and there's not gonna be anything wrong, you are mistaken. It doesn't matter what's your position, how much money you have. There's gonna be suffering in life, no matter where you are in life.
definitely. Yeah. To some degree, you'll go through dark days, and that's why the wedding vows are what they are, through sickness and in health. Through the good days and the bad days. Like, you want someone to be there for you, not just when things are good and all happy and but whenever you're going through a rough patch and you need each other's support. That's what the whole bond is supposed to be about, is having that person in your life that'll be there for you and being there for them.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. Um, what do you think about this is like something I see a lot in the internet, and I see it a lot, especially in channels when it comes to woman channels. There's like these. I see these as I don't see them as people. I see them as like they made a product of themselves kind of thing.
Yeah, I get
So
it.
I when there's like this person online that is like I don't know a cute a cute woman, and it's like going online and having all of these conversations or putting herself out there. The first thing I think of them now is like, oh, this is not an actual person. This is like a product of a person, and I don't.
Hmm.
There's no way uh, in all. hell can froze over before you can actually get a date with this person because it's not a real person. It's a product of a person, right?
Sure. Yeah, I would tend to agree majoritatively with that. I do think that there's a smaller percentage of men and women both that are not performing. Like they just get on and they're doing their thing.
Mm.
Um, but yeah, I definitely agree with you that when we're looking at the people that are online in social media and things like that, they're content creators of some kind, or even just some of the people that jump up and they do panels and whatnot, you'll see a level of acting and caricature versus reality, like who they really are. But I think that that is something that we also do see within society, probably a hell of a lot less than what we see on social media. But there'll be caricatures, people act like that within, your interpersonals also. So I think it's something that's good to be aware of, just so you can rule out people that you aren't going to connect with. But I don't think that's generally a fear that you should have going into relationships when you meet someone in person or talk to them in person. I think that's the wrong way to approach it. Approach it as if they're telling you the truth about themselves, and that way you can get the best information you can get. I mean, if they're not, then they're lying to you, and you can just, oh, that one's gone. Next,
Yeah.
and it might suck, but it is what it is. It's part of meeting people.
Yeah, you can find people that you have some kind of infatuation with, that you think, oh, this person kind of looks like a person I like, or this is kind of like what I'm looking for, and then you talk to them, which is what we're talking about, right? You gotta talk to them at
Mhm.
some point, and they can be telling you, no, I don't want any of what you want. Um, it's like, oh, I want a relationship, and the other person is like, I don't want any relationship. At that point, it's like, okay, I guess we are an impasse, and I could just cross you out, and it might suck right now, but at the end of the day, it's better than if you say yes, and it all is gonna end up wrongly because there's no bridging that impasse.
Yeah. What do you think about the hyperbolic nature that we see in social media, especially when it comes to like the way that women present themselves? Is has it helped for men to be able to separate that kind of behavior from what they really want, or do you think it's something that is like defeating men in some way or something like that? You know the nature I'm talking about, where women will get online and start sharing their views, and their views are just like way out there, or they're too perfect, or whatever the case is. How do you think this is affecting men when they see women like this?
Well, I think there's two sides to this. One is like the feminist side. So there's the woman that goes out and it's like, I am boss babe, and this is my view, and I'm gonna use, uh, even though I don't care about the male gaze, I'm gonna use this skimpy clothing and be all sexualized online and pretend that I am boss girl babe, right? There's that side, and I think there's a similar side on the right. I think it's I think it's a little bit less, but it also happens in which you have kind of the same. It's like,
Mhm.
oh, look how based I am, and they will present themselves. They will present themselves
Yeah.
similarly, and they will have all these kind of boss based ideas at the same time. It's a little bit. I think it's harder for the right to get like this kind of get rid of this kind of people, because they're saying kind of like you want to be listening to at the same time, and it might not be completely wrong, but the presentation is pretty much the same. It's just on different sides of the
Yeah.
spectrum. This
So you
is
think
one
it?
of
Do you think it makes it harder for men to find a real woman if that's what they're seeing and expecting of women?
I do think that I do think that it is in the sense that there's this time, let's say that there's like a five cute girl working on a restaurant, and you used to see that kind of girl, and you would be like, oh, this is a perfectly fine woman, I would like to actually meet her. And now instead of thinking that way, you're like, oh, there is this five cute girl in a restaurant working, but I have these uh, person that looks like a seven with a ton of makeup and skimpy clothes on my phone, and I'm not gonna actually pay attention, right? It's like I do think that there has been some kind of rewiring in a sense of the males when it comes to the phone and what they can see in the phone towards the reality that they live in the people that they can actually meet and have a good conversation with.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Do you think it makes it harder for guys to want to approach women?
Um, I think it. I yes, but in the I do think, but I think it's in the wrong. I think it happens because they believe that, it's as I said. I believe that they think, oh, there's a bunch of sevens on my phone. I can get a seven, and they're a two,
Right.
and they can get maybe they can get a three or four, maybe even a five in a good day. But they're just trying to approach these kind of seven eights that are completely out of their minds. And I think something similar happens to girls, but the difference with girls is they go there and they get the attention, and then they're like out of their mind with when it comes to the expectations at some points.
Sure.
When it
Yeah,
comes
yeah.
to their
I've definitely seen
relationship,
that too.
yeah, when it comes
Mhm.
to their relationships themselves, because they can have, I don't have a, I don't have a, I don't have a doubt that girls can get almost any kind of date most of the time. That doesn't mean that they can have a relationship with any kind of people, right?
Yeah, I think this is something that's also not talked about a whole lot. There's a lot of effects that the subconscious mind has on how we do things, and the fact that our devices, our screens, put us at a higher state of anxiety is a
Mm,
scientific fact. It's already been proven. But the other side of that is more a psychological side is that when we're in a higher state of anxiety, even if it's just a small percentage higher, we're in a higher state of a fear matrix as well.
mm,
Fear can actually have more control over you whenever you've been looking at your phone all day or staring at a screen all day and whatnot. So you'll make decisions that are based around avoiding things because you're afraid. And so I have personally seen and I personally believe that this whole thing with us staring at our screens all day and doing all this online stuff doesn't necessarily help us. It actually hinders us quite a bit when it comes to taking risks, which for a large part of human history, men were the majoritative risk takers. And nowadays it's dwindled down to where it's like 50-50. If people decide to take risks, it's like there's women and men both kind of on the same side of it. So we don't see as much of it in men as we used to, and I believe this is because of the anxiety side of it. We get stuck on these items. We see this content, like what you're saying. You know, you can look and see a girl. Well, that anxiety that's built up in you just a little bit, it creates a little bit of the fear inside you that if you were to go out and talk to somebody or interpersonally react with somebody or anything like that, it would necessarily end in something painful or bad for you. And so you're risk averting as opposed
mm.
to taking the risk. And I think our whole leap before you look mentality has gone away so drastically that we're now at a point where people aren't even wanting to have relationships, and it's horrible.
What do you think of the newer generation, like the Gen Zers or the actual like the 15 to
Mm.
18 year olds right now when it comes to uh their interpersonal relationships, especially when they're like in high school? I think there's a lot of moments where they when you're like in high school that you're kind of having these out into the world moments, right?
Hmm. Well, I think unfortunately for, and I would probably extend this up to people who are in their early 20s too. I'd probably say like from 15 to early 20s.
Mhm.
I think they're dealing with the fallout of a social revolution that happened during Gen X and the millennials. And because the changes that happened right then, they're feeling the effects of it in their dating landscape. Like they have we had the sexual revolution that happened. Porn is a thing. It's
Yeah.
prevalent everywhere. You can get a hold of it anywhere you want. So guys will see this and they'll get stuck in that mind and that idea of this is what sex is, or this is how relationships go, or this, and girls too, they'll see that and they'll think this is what guys are supposed to be. This is so that's one social construction that they have to deal with. But then there's the other of it, which is like the traditional mindset that a lot of people have, and so they hear this as well. So you end up seeing these different paradigms that are grouped up within their groups because people click up because that's how we socialize. We group to socialize. We like minds, things like that. So they get stuck in these groups and they enter an echo chamber of the porn sphere where it's like this is how guys and girls are, and they don't come out of it. And this social media thing that we've got, the tech that we have, does nothing but compound that and make it harder for them. But I do think that there's also a group of them that don't spend near as much time with all of that bullshit, and they focus on a lot of the chatting where they get to interpersonally connect and talk to people, but not the same way that we used to when we were young, like not in person. They're talking to people all over the world, but they
Hmm.
do a lot of that. So, I mean, there's a lot of different dynamics that are at play right now. And we can see this thing shift in one way or the other, going down the dark road for people, humanity as a whole, or going down the road of us all preserving life and continuing to survive. It all just kind of depends on how us, the adults, start to try and shape the world and change it for the betterment of those people who are our youth and the people who are going to continue our species later.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. What do you what do you think, or what would be your advice to like young men and women? Like, let's say that you
I
had
would,
you have your daughter comes to you and it's like, what do you think I should do when it comes to dating?
um, well, my daughter and I have had a lot of conversations, and so at this point, I would tell her pick a man better than me. Um, I think I'm a fairly good dad. I think I'm a fairly good man overall, but I know I've done some horrific things in my life. I know I'm capable of doing horrific things. I would want someone who is capable of doing horrific things but chooses to be a good man for her. So I would tell her to find a guy that's better than me. You know, I would want that for her. Same thing for my son. I would say, look, you saw the way that my marriages have gone. I would want you to find a better wife. Find a woman that's better than the women that I was with, and I love them, but they are what they are. I would want the best for my kids. It's really hard to come up with one general prescription that would work for the masses because of these groupings of the social dynamics and the social constructions that we see. So it's like you can't create one generality for all of those different social dynamic groups. That's kind of where we're at right now because there isn't a larger portion on this side or a larger portion on that side when it comes to that age group of like 15 to the early 20s. There's people that are just in these groups in an average percentage because it's all over everywhere. So having like one prescription, kind of like a one shoe fits all, won't work for these guys like it did for our generations.
Yeah,
We'll
well,
have to come up with something for each of them
I think it didn't work for our generation. That's why we're in kind of this mess, right? We had like this fall, and it's
to a degree.
actually important. Yeah, I would say that you are correct. I would say something similar, but I mean, if they're like asking me where should I meet a person, I would actually go ahead and be like, listen, okay, if you see a person that you might like, when it's a guy, and you kind of have to, if you're young, I think you kind of have to see them and be like,
Hmm.
hey, can I approach you and actually do that kind of stuff instead of going into the internet to try to find this magical person that you're probably not gonna get um,
Hmm.
anyway. I would recommend that you just be outside and try to be personable and try to present yourself more of an offline setting than in an online setting. And for the woman, I
Yeah,
would be like, but for a woman, I would say, hey, think about it as a thing towards the future in which you're building something so that you can be in your later years and have a family and not be alone and have all of these different things that are actually building you as a person, because they can tell you,
Sure.
oh, you're gonna be a CEO, but at the end, when I see that, it's like, yeah, guys can be like, yeah, I'm a CEO, this is my job, but they're not gonna. I don't think they want to be even remembered for that. I think most people want to be remembered because of the family they built, the legacy they actually have, and the kids and the grandkids and the family in
Hmm.
general. And I think
Yeah.
that's something that a lot of people, we still see it, we still hear it, but we don't actually say it as much.
No, that's true. And we don't actually say a lot of things that we should be saying to each other right now. Men and women should be being a lot more honest with each other, especially now with all the technology that we have available to us. Lying to people isn't going to do anything but create problems. So it's like, uh, yeah, I agree completely. But I don't think we can actually tell everyone. Um, and again, I'm not saying everyone is a monolith. I'm saying like the general mass of people. I don't think we
Mhm.
could tell the general mass of people go out there and meet someone right now, because I don't think it will work for everyone right now because of these groupings. I think majoritatively in the past we had a different climate. We had an eclectic group that were the onliners, and then the general public was not online.
Yeah.
They just went to work, did their life stuff and whatnot. And so going out and meeting someone generally, that would work for the general public. It wouldn't work for the exceptions even back then. But now the exceptions aren't the exceptions. There's like a 15 to 20% of those people here in America now. And the thing is, like within each of these groups, they are not small exceptions anymore, except for like obviously like the insano gay trans LGBT whatever fucking crazy flag shit. Um, they're definitely an exception because they're less than 1%. But like for the rest of the groupings that our youth are going through, they're big groupings. They're not smaller percentages of people. And so I don't think that telling all of them just go out and meeting people would work anymore. I think that's why we have to discuss this and look at what they're going through to try and come up with a better way of telling them how to do things. I do think it would still work for a decent number of those groups, but we're going to have to address the fact that like if it doesn't work for 40% of the population, we need to know something to tell them so that they can do something that works. And us as the adults, it's our responsibility because we're older and we have a little more wisdom in life to look at that and try and help them and guide them.
Yeah, and yeah, I agree with you. Um, this is gonna be a big challenge, I think, for parents when it comes to how they're gonna tackle these kind of situations, because they need to be able to look at the kids and have some kind of actual wisdom to provide them. And I think there's a big problem in society when it comes to fatherlessness, for example, that is creating these kind of
Hmm.
dissonances in a ton of communities, and because they don't have the guidance of what you're supposed to be doing in some cases, or even in most cases, I would say. Um, but yeah,
I agree. I don't. I don't think that this age group that we're specifically talking about right now, the 15 to early 20s, I don't think they are going to have as much of an issue with the fatherless homes as we are right now. I think there will be groupings of it, but I don't think it will be as prevalent as it is right now because they've seen, like, they have lived the effect, they are the effect, and they have seen the effect in society itself. And they have a representation of this. And so they have an understanding of what is good and bad as far as that is concerned. Everybody knows like having a shitty relationship, not working out, losing your husband, losing your wife fucking sucks. So it's like I think they've seen enough of this and it's so apparent even in our social media that maybe this is enough of a deterrent for them to make better choices. But I do still think that we're going to have to come up with good guidance to help them. That way they don't get caught into lying webs and things like that, you know.
Yeah, and there's also we grew up in a sense of because if you look at the 2000s 2010s, there's a lot of yeah, liberty and liberty and liberty
Hmm.
and more and more and more of that, and that was like the whole prevalent idea, and nobody gave any pushback for a while. Even the right was very much to, oh yeah, we're gonna be about liberty, and the other side was just going crazier and crazier. But right now, I believe that there are a lot of people going back into that. No, we do have duties. No, we do have a sense to our family, a sense to our country, a
Hmm.
sense of, and that is that's a good pushback. That's going to be at least giving a certain amount of the young population a way forward. And the other part is they also suffered the loss of a parent, and
Yeah.
so most of the people that haven't had that kind of loss of a parent don't know what it actually means or feels like, and I think there's a lot of younger population that are like, well, I don't want that to happen to our kids, and they
Hmm.
will be trying to find ways in which they either they're going to the non-natalism position, like we don't want to have any kids, or they're going towards the idea of let's have a family and we're going to stick together. And
Yeah.
I think those are like the two options for these that we're looking at and we're seeing happening.
Yeah. I would agree overall. I do think I think we'll see like how when we were younger we would see kind of people mingling between the groups of people. I don't think there's as much mingling between the groups now because people get into these groups and their echo chambers and they start, I mean, indoctrinating each other into their belief systems. And
Well,
so I think that it's less like less just general people between them and more people in the groupings for this younger age group right now.
there's also the demonization, right? Because in the
Hmm.
2020s and 2010s, there was a lot less demonization of the other side. They were like, oh, we can live together and we can disagree. It's fine if we disagree. We can have certain disagreements and we can move forward. Right now, it's not that. It's like, oh, you disagree with this, you are evil, you know.
Yeah.
And the other
I no,
side
I agree.
is like,
Yeah.
the other side is also going on and being like, well, uh, no, you are evil, and there's a lot more polarization on both sides of the not only the political spectrum but even the social spectrum. Oh,
Mhm.
the social spectrum, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do see that as well. I do think that there have been a lot of overarching viewpoints that have shaped and changed the minds of the youth. But I think that enough of the people in that grouping, in that 15 to early 20s grouping, have seen this. And so the diamonds that are shown on social media, like the girls that are traditional women and guys are just falling in love with that mindset, that makes other girls want to be like that and emulate that behavior. So I don't even think it's a bad thing that we see maybe 1% of the women that are out there on social media showing this. I think what it does is it creates this understanding in men that no, that that 1% chick, like she's fucking awesome. And it
Hmm.
creates that understanding in the non-content creation, the non-social media girls. That's who I want to be. I want to be that girl that's at home that's taking care of my man or whatever the mentality is, that is like so good that they're just like, wow, that's amazing. That
Hmm.
chick has got like every dude on the internet simping after her right now because she's a good chick. I want to be like that. I want some guy to look at me like that. So I think that we do see that grouping happening right now within this age group and even within younger kids that are coming into the next generation.
Yeah.
I think they're getting a good representation right now. It's just it's not a prevalent representation, but I don't necessarily think that's bad because when we were growing up, we would try and rebel against our parents so much, and we would try and rebel against what we were being shown and taught by society so much. It's kind of a natural thing when you're a teenager, that you want to rebel against the status quo. And if the status quo right now is a slut and degenerate, and the exceptional is unexceptional human being, I mean, I'm all right with them rebelling and becoming exceptional human beings.
You know what is one of the problems that I do have with certain right wingish spaces is the lack of kids in some of these women. Like I agree, I want to see this traditional female role being enacted and being shown out to society. Uh, but there's a lot of them that go out and I they say I just got married 3 years later. They're still the same person. There's no kids, and they're still doing the same thing. And I'm like,
Hmm.
I understand that you have these like media thing going on, and you're trying to present yourself the best possible. But there, if you're presenting these values, you have to understand that kids are a necessity in this kind
Oh
of
yeah.
in this kind of mindset. um, and it can be like not the thing that you want at this moment, but it's not about this moment. It's about the family that you're gonna be creating. So that's one of the big kind of issues that I have with certain content creators on the right that I try going for this like trad wife stuff because they're
Hmm.
not they're stuck in the I cook and I clean the house and I do all of these and I got married and I am a housewife and then where's the kids? you know?
Well, the other side of that is, yeah, you did all those things, but you're on social media seeking millions of people's attention.
Yeah.
Like, but I mean, the thing is, you're gonna have to have people showing that type of life
Yeah.
and the good of it, or you won't get anybody trying to emulate that. I also know that we're gonna have a split. We're gonna have a separation between the people that want to have kids and the people that don't, and we're also gonna have a split between. And man, I'll tell you what, every woman on the planet's probably gonna hate me when I say this, but there's not someone for everyone. Get the fuck over it. Like, that's all there is to it. We will not all find our match. That's just all there is to it. It's always been that way, and it always will be that way. It's life.
I do believe that there's obviously these exceptions, but I just think there's most people can find someone that they can have a good relationship with, and it's not necessarily like it's not the end of the world if
Sure.
you have a it's not the end of the world if you have to give up some of your expectations of your perfect prince that was set up by Disney in order to have a better life that you can live on with,
Hmm.
right? Obviously, there's people that are completely insane, and I don't even think that it can happen. But there are, most people I think are not necessarily insane.
Yeah, I don't think that generally most people are insane. We may all have our own sets of mental issues, but something that we don't have control over is the technology creating the anxiety. And once the anxiety is there, it gives way for all the other societal beliefs and constructions to fuck with our heads and create defects within our mentality. I do think this is something we're going to have to address within our technology to try and take the anxiety out of these things. But I don't think it's going to happen until we can stop these guys from making money off it. Because right now, the anxiety keeps you on your phone and keeps you scrolling and getting ads across your phone, and that makes them a fortune. And they don't want to give up that fortune. So we're going to have
Well,
to come back to a majoritatively more altruistic mindset to get rid of this shit, to change our technology so that we're not in an anxiety matrix, so that we're back to normality, so we can behave correctly as people.
yes, and yeah, that this is a. I think technology is becoming a big problem. I know I enjoy it. I'm not gonna lie, I enjoy technology. I'm not gonna be like against the
Sure,
whole idea of technology because I spent most of my time using it. So
sure,
it would be wrong. It would be like wrong of me to be like, oh yeah, I'm against technology. But I do think that
absolutely.
there are big problems that we actually have as a society to take a good look at and do something about them. And
Hmm.
this is where I disagree with a bunch of libertarians, for example. They will be like, oh no, we have to let the market decide. And the problem that I see with that is that we're not really understanding what is the actual problem when we're having exploitative uh, ideas behind. If we live in a society
Hmm.
that was kind of moral or was kind of acting towards the what I would believe to be Christian morality, then yeah, I can give a little more leeway. But if we're in this tug of war when it comes to even what good is, how am I
Yeah.
going to accept this idea that anything can go? And yeah, it's I think we have to actually take a good look at technology and see where we can actually make legislation so that we can pinpoint the actual problems with it and make it better for everybody. Because it's true, like being anxious all the time, having these like anxiety matrix that you're living on, it's not good for men, it's not good, it's not even good for women, and it just creates dissonance at the end. It
Hmm.
ripples the society that we live on.
Yeah, it does. It creates huge problems for all of us. It is something that needs to be addressed and fixed. Um, and like I said, I don't think it'll be fixed until we can figure out how to do something about the companies, maybe through legislation or something. But it directly affects all of our relationships, especially our interpersonals, our marriages, our dating life, all of it. It affects it massively. You can't have a good relationship if you're both always stuck in the anxious fear matrix. You'll
There's the
never you'll never take the risks involved in making a good relationship.
there's also the thing that you usually go to work, that was like the biggest stressor, and you come
Mhm.
back home and you had a way uh to relax and be with your family in a sense. And right now there's a lot of in betweens in that aspect, especially if you are working like online or have something going on online.
Mhm.
It gets very messy very quickly because you're always thinking about the next thing, for example. So
Sure.
I do I'm doing the videos, I'm doing the shorts for Grid, I'm doing all that kind of stuff, and it happens to me a lot. I don't enjoy I can do it, and I think I'm good at it, but I'm not super fond of video editing because it takes a lot of
Sure.
time and you have to listen
It's
to a lot of
tedious.
stuff and it's kind of tedious.
Mhm.
But the big problem is that it doesn't stop there. You're like thinking, oh, what is the next short? Oh, what is the next video? Oh, what is the next thing? Oh, I need to do X, Y, and Z thing, and I need to be getting it done before this time frame. And it just goes on and on and on. And every single time it like, is
Mhm.
creating this kind of anxiety on your mind of what is the next thing to do, what is coming next.
Yeah.
And
I no,
so
I agree, and I understand it, and I don't think there's, like I said earlier, with the social grouping thing that the youth has. I don't think there's a one thing that we can do that'll fix it all. I think we're gonna like it's a multi-level attack. It has been a multi-level degeneration of our social values, of the way we live, of our technology, of all of it, and so it's a multi-level thing. We're going to have people approach it in each avenue and try and fix things in each avenue in order for us to get our society lined back out. I mean, like when I say there's not someone for everyone, right? I'm
mhm,
not saying you shouldn't go out and try and find somebody or anything like that. I'm saying you need to be okay with who you are as a person, not be so dependent on having another person in your life until you find that person. Like you have to be able to be your own person until you find the person that meshes with you that you can be a team with.
mhm.
It's a mentality that people don't understand right now, and it's something that is going to create more single people than married people, because in a marriage you're a team. If you're not on each other's side, why are you married?
Yeah, and there's the other thing that they think of relationships, and this I just thought about this. They think of relationships as the thing that makes me feel good, and not as the thing I'm building something with, right? Because it's not always going to make you feel good. There's gonna be a lot of
Hmm.
times where you have you're gonna have problems with the other person, and it doesn't matter. if it doesn't matter how good you how much you even love each other, there's going to be a point in which you're going to have a problem with the other person.
Oh yeah. Oh
So
yeah.
you have to be able to go through that and be like, we are building something together and we can go through these together. Even when right now I don't, you don't make me feel good because you're being kind of annoying to me. It's
Mhm.
like a good part of it, right? It's like sometimes you're gonna be at work, you have a meeting, you're stressed out, you come back home, and you're like, oh, finally, yeah, I'm gonna go back home. This person is gonna be there. We're gonna hug. And we're gonna watch Netflix, and the other person is like, no, I have my own shit, and I'm gonna have to tell you about it. And it's like, okay,
Sure, absolutely. I get that, and there's give and take with that too. I mean, if you're a two income household and you both have to go out in the world and work, it fucking sucks because you both come home with shit that happens from work that you can't help but carry home to some degree. And you got to get it out of your system and talk to the person that you're supposed to be able to trust the most. And that's your partner in life. That's your spouse. That's your husband or your wife.
and
And yeah.
there's a lot of that that happen. For example, that one of the things that happened to me in a relationship before was pretty much that I went to work and I tried to keep my work away from like my family, and the other person was like, well, what, you're not talking to me about your job. And I was like, because
Hmm.
one is I don't want to bring like crap to these to my relationship, and I don't think it's necessary for us to talk. Like, there's other things we can talk about that has nothing to do with what stresses me out. And it was
Sure.
like kind of a pull and give, right, in this kind of situation, because
Hmm.
they want to know about my like work, and I want to get away from work when I was outside of work as fast as possible. I didn't want to talk about that at all.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That was something that when I would come home from work after a trip or whatnot, when I would be out working and I'd get home, I mean, I wouldn't go into all the specifics of what I had to deal with whenever I talked to my wife to be able to get it out and vent it out so that it was talked about. But I would just talk about it generally, and sometimes I wouldn't even have to do that. She'd sit down and say, "Babe, got your whiskey right here. You need a drink. You need to sit down. You need to, you know." And I mean, but that's the thing is like she knew me. We'd known each other since we were 20. So I mean, like we were together for a very long time. We were friends. We were husband and wife. We loved each other. I mean, that's the best matrix I could have for anybody. Is having that person that you can actually, even if you're not talking about all the details and shit, just being able to get out what you need to get out, so that the rest of the time that you get to spend with that person will be positive. Because I mean, everybody has to get it out in one way or another. Hey,
Yeah.
I'll tell you, there was sometimes I'd come home, I'd be so angry, and my wife would be like, "Let's go to the bedroom. I know what you need." She'd be like, take that hate out, take that hate out. And the thing is, like, it is about knowing your partner, knowing the person you're with, being able to uh, be there for them. There was times where she would come home from a really bad encounter with one of her parents or one of her siblings or something like that, and I would run her a bubble bath. And it's on both sides. The support has to be on both sides. The love, the caring has to be on both sides. If we're stuck on our phones, we're not there for each other. You know,
Yeah,
it's all about the interpersonal.
yeah, it's complicated, and then it's like really hard to. I think like it gets to a point where it can be really hard to get the the relationship back if there is like some kind of complete break on communication. It's gonna be hard from both sides to be able
Yeah.
to get back into a place where they can have where they can get back into talking to each other even.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah. I think the biggest thing right now, and maybe this is the one general prescription that would actually help everybody: communication. Honest communication with the people around you, the people you're talking with, people in your social circles. If you're able to have that communication, you're in a good circle. If you're not able to communicate with people, you need to find people you can communicate honest and openly with about the things that you need to. And I'm not saying like be a bleeding heart, go out and cry on everybody's shoulder that's out there or anything. All I'm talking about is our regular day-to-day communication. We need to just get away from using the white lie so much. Get away from being okay with somebody not expressing themselves correctly or not talking about what their problems are if you're trying to build a relationship with them, or all of these things. Our communication has to get better, and it's done nothing but get worse so far with the phones and social communication devices, which is like it's totally backwards from the way it should be happening. If we're able to communicate more often, we should be using it more effectively. And it's not actually hard. It actually creates things that are way easier to live with, because if you know what each other wants, it's easier to find what it is that you want. That it's just so much easier in life if people are just open about things when they're talking about whatever it is they're talking about. They're honest and communicating correctly. But if they don't, then you enter into those relationships where, yeah, yeah, there's going to be problems. There's going to be issues because you're not being honest.
What do you think about the demonization of women in our space? I do think there's a little bit of blaming the whole problem with the social with the social with our social problems. It has been come to a point in which we're pretty much blaming women for all of it.
Yeah, I see that, and I see that in women's spaces, they're majoritatively blaming men, and within black cultures, they're blaming white people, and it's like there's this split that's been created, that's propagated by the people who are pulling the strings, the people who are running things. They decide what goes on the media. They decide the algorithms. They decide what it is that we see, and the things that we see do shape our views. We're a product of our environment. If our environment is showing us that men are horrible or women are horrible, then that's how our views are going to shift over time.
Yeah,
There's no way around it.
I do think that there is a chasm forming between some of the sexes, especially when it comes to when it comes to the online space. And we do have like very different things we listen to and like about like the online space. So there's a lot of, for example, there I think 90% of Instagram is a woman and 90% of YouTube is man. And it's like the way that we are looking at things and the way that we're communicating with technology in a sense, it's it's very different.
Yeah, and I like personally. So Oxcat, I don't typically respond to the chats all the time when we're doing a conversation or debate, but Kat said something that is kind of important here. Blame. Who gives a shit about the blame? We need to get away from that concept.
Hmm.
The blame is creating the distance between us. If we don't try to blame each other for things, own each of our own parts of it, we'll be able to start entering into this positive communication scheme a lot easier. Get away from the mentality of it's all women's fault, it's all men's fault, it's all, you know, it's not all anybody's fault. We all have parts to play in the decline that we're in right now. The thing is, we have to step up and do our part in accepting it, accepting what we have or haven't done, and fixing it. And I mean, that's going to be hard for people to do because at our nature, our brains want us to do the easiest thing.
Yeah, this is I agree with you, especially when it comes to the idea of blame and those kind of ideas are I kind of I tend to step up to get away from them. I don't think it is a good idea to think who is to blame, because most of the time when you're thinking who is to blame is a cope out away from your responsibility. That's how it looks to me. So if I were to be like, oh, this is not my fault, this was done by X person and not me. At the end of the day, the only person who can actually fix any of it would be me.
Hmm.
The only one who could do anything to make it better would be me. I cannot be dependent on another person to do it. And I think it's the same in politics, for example, right? It's like, oh, everything sucks. Well, who can do anything to fix it? You are the citizen. You are supposed to be voting and thinking who is in the ballot and actually voting for those people before they are even in the ballot so that you can make a change, and you should be like, I'm not gonna. If you don't do this next time you come, I'm not gonna vote for you. And
Hmm.
you know that it's not gonna happen, and it's not gonna happen, and he doesn't do it. The next time we does that person gets booted off, and another person that says that's gonna do it gets in, and that kind of victim mentality is what I would call it. That kind of victim mentality, I have a big problem with. I don't think the thinking yourself as a victim or pretending that you didn't do this or it's not your fault. We understand that, but at the end of the day, it has nothing to do with you per se. It has to do with um, you need to
Yeah,
be able to fix it in a sense.
yeah, I see the same, and the thing is like the generation I was in, we had the split somewhere. I wouldn't say exactly in the middle, but I mean somewhere close to it of people that could accept accountability and reality and people that couldn't. And like we're seeing this not as a dichotomy so much now because uh, it's in a spectrum. I hate using that word spectrum, except for the pesticide. Spectrum pesticide's fucking awesome. That shit's like a neurotoxin for bugs. I love that shit. But the spectrum of things that we see within the normality and the youth now,
Mhm.
it's all over the place. There's not a there's not a grouping of people that don't accept accountability and a grouping of people that do. It's a little bit of everything kind of parsed all throughout the whole thing. The problem that we have right now is that a lot of us see the most hyperbolic of human beings on social media and assume that that is normality. And the thing that I think people need to get through their mind, maybe this is another general prescription that people could do that would actually help most people in the world, if not all, understand that what you see online is not normality. For a very long time, people understood that the things they saw on TV were not fact. And I mean, we've got to get back to that understanding. This stuff that we see online is not our normality. It's not how normal everyday people live. We are not so polarized and dichotomized that we have to enter into one extreme or another or another or another. We're like people are not naturally and normally built this way. We're normally and naturally built to be very level headed, to be problem solving, to be pattern recognition machines, to make judgment calls, to try and manipulate the world around us to have the best outcome possible for our relationships, our families, our friends, ourselves. We understand things, we judge each other. Like, you can't forgive someone if you don't judge them. We all have insecurities, and insecurities are created because of the behaviors of people around us, towards us, or with us. So, like all these concepts that have been used as attack words and attack terms, being controlling, everything about relationships is control. You're controlling for the most favorable outcome. Everything about relationships is manipulation. God gave us the opposable thumb so we could manipulate the world around us. If you do not understand that we are meant to manipulate the world around us, and all you do is use it as an attack word instead of trying to help somebody else to manipulate both of your futures to the best outcome, then I mean, all you're doing is the blame game yet again. Instead of
Yeah.
approaching it, taking all these tools that we've been given and allowing those tools to help you optimize for the best outcome for the people you love.
And yeah, I can agree with that. I think it's that's a good understanding of where we are right now when it comes to the grouping of people and where should we be going. That we should be going away or moving away from this idea of blame and more towards the idea of this is where we are. This is what we have, and we need to take accountability on what we have and work towards something better. And
Yeah.
there's no way or there's no even I don't think there's any possibility of getting away from that.
Hmm.
That's like our only possibility towards the future.
Yeah, I definitely think we're going to have to make a large push. It's not even that hard to do though. I mean, it's actually really easy for people to do it. All they have to do is put their phone down a little bit more every day until we get to the point where We're not so reliant and dependent upon influencers telling us what the best thing is.
Yeah.
Um, it's going to be an uphill battle for people, but it's not like uphill battles aren't hard. Some uphill battles come incrementally. You take an inch at a time, no pun intended, to get up to the hill, you know, like to get to the top of the hill. I mean, not all battles are a steep incline all the way up, met with massive resistance, aliens trying to destroy the globe, Nazis coming out all over everywhere. Like, no, you can just walk up a hill. You just have to take one step at a time, do one little thing that changes how you're doing things throughout the time that you're making changes. That's it. Little things.
Yeah. And I think that is possibly like one of the best what one of the best things we can I can actually tell people would be like, you don't have to be married tomorrow. You can actually take it step by step and have a good understanding so that when you are actually married, you can go ahead and move forward in life with the whole thing that you've done before. And
Hmm.
there could be there's a lot of like black pilling going around about it's not worth it, or this is not the way forward, or I've done it before and it was really bad. And I think that there is I have this kind of different sense of idea. It's like, well, yeah, things are not perfect, things are not going to be perfect, but that doesn't
Hmm.
mean that we don't have to try to move closer to what actually bring us satisfaction in life in the
Hmm.
long run, instead of keep yourself enclose yourself onto yourself and be like, there's nothing else we can do because this is my solution to the world. It's gonna be that everybody else sucks and I need to keep myself to myself. So
Yeah.
I do think that there is a that we need to be able to see a future in order for us to get away from the existential dread that is life without it.
Yeah. And I think also that the ones of us that are the older adults, we're going to have to bite the bullet on this and accept that our reality is what it is right now and change it for our youth so that they can have better, because we've got a shit show of a world right now, and there's a
Mhm.
lot of people trying to do things to hold us down, and there's a lot of people trying to do things to make it better. We're going to have to accept that this is the society that we helped create. We need to make it easier for our youth to go down a better path, or their brains, their pattern recognition machines will tell them it's too hard and they don't want to do it. We need to make it as easy as possible for them to go down the better path in life, to find the better matrices, to find the people they love, the groups that they care about.
Yep.
We need to try and help them do that. We're just going to have to accept this and start putting the work in, because
Yeah.
otherwise we're going to keep seeing the same thing we're seeing right now. The birth rate will continue to decline. China came out with a robot that holds babies. I mean, like, that's letting you know there is definitely a problem within humanity if there is a robot that you can buy for $15,000 that will take your baby through the entire 9-month process. Like, there's definitely a fucking problem in society.
Yeah, it is a
We need to
problem.
fix it.
And I would like to end. I don't know if you have a little bit more time or not. It's been probably 2 hours. Um, but I would like
I'm
to
good either way.
I would like to wind down a little bit the conversation when it comes to this, and just say that I think that's a great point, right? It's like there's gonna be we've been having our society for a long time, and you are the product of a lot of generations that come from your family, and you are the product of that in a sense, and it is part of your part of your duty as a person is to continue that family that brought you in, and get
Hmm.
get to the next generation as well, so that you can have um, so that you can continue with life. All of these, I'm not the I know that the idea of this robot came out. I'm not entirely sure if it really works. It probably does. I don't know. But at the end of the day, when I think about kids, I don't think about kids as a product that can be sold and gotten, and it's there
Yeah.
for whoever wants it. I see it as a product of the union when it comes to the man and the woman. It's then they need to have both parts, both of that union. You know, it's
Hmm.
like when I always I listen to a lot of arguments about marriage, and most of the time it's like, oh well, it's about the woman, it's about the happiness of the woman, or it's about the duty of the man, or it's about the duty to each other. It's like most of the time marriage is about the kids. You're trying to protect them, and you're trying to give them what they need, which is at the very basic level is a mom and a dad. That is like the very basic level. What they need is to have a family that they can grow up with and they can be part of, because that
Hmm.
is the basic of society, and this is their product of pretty much who they are and where they come from.
Yeah. Yeah. I do think that that understanding of coming back to the family unit is something that I think this younger generation right now is seeing as what the net positive would be. Like they see the benefits of that, and I do think that they have a better chance at that. And I know that they are going to have strife through their life. They're going to have hardships. This is not going to be an easy path for them. What I'm saying as an adult, and as all of us being adults, the older generations, right? We should make the best path, the path that we all know is going to produce the best outcome for society. More people obviously need to be born in order for society to continue. So, if we know that, we need to make that path easier for them to fall into. That way, the hardships that they will face, building relationships is not easy, building a family is not easy, but getting them to the point where that's what they want to do, we should make that easy. We should make it easy so that they want to do that thing. Their brain wants them to do that thing. This is the only way that as a species we will continue to achieve the two main drivers of life, which are survival and reproduction. We have to make these things easier for them to get into and take away all these things that are screwing them up, holding them back, keeping them down, making them constantly going to the blame game, arguing, fighting, all of this. They're going to experience all that shit no matter what because of how life is. So if we can make relationships easier for them to get into and maintain, I mean, we're doing a world of good for them. They're going to, and at some point it is an entailment of life. They're going to go through something rough. Some people more hardships than others, some people less than others, but we'll all have something we have to deal with in life. But if we
Yeah.
can make the relationships easier for them to get into and start, like giving them the best matrix for how to, how to find the right families and whatnot, making things easier for them subconsciously to get into a relationship, just to want to do that, to start doing that. That's where I think we'll see the social engineering side of things play off. It'll play out in a better way so that we will have more good human beings trying to do that.
And also get rid of big problems that we're seeing now in society as well. Like there's a big push, and I think it will become way more prevalent in the future, of getting rid of no fault divorce, for example. We need to be able to be sure that we can
Sure.
use force when necessary and needed in order for us to have a society that is worth for all of us to live in and not feel bad about
Hmm.
it, because there's a lot of there has been like a big push to move away um, uh, from proper authority, right? It's like, no, we can't. Government should not do anything, and that's not the case. We are always gonna have to have a body of force that is gonna have to regulate some of the behavior and some of the activity that we as humans do, and it doesn't matter where we live at or where we stand at. So I was talking to, I'm gonna go a little bit away from the topic for a second, but I was talking to Grumple the other day, and they were like, oh, would you have a contract, and the contract it says what kind of body regulates these the what kind of body regulates the mediation in case that somebody breaks the contract. And the
Hmm.
next question that I would have about that, which I didn't, we moved away from the topic at that point, but it's like, what if you have a full on interaction between two people that ends badly and they have no contract? Who takes care of that situation? And at the end of the day, it will have to be a government. It will have to be a body that has jurisdiction over the people, that has the capacity of using force, and
Yeah,
that is government at the end of the day. It has to be.
I mean, I would say government is a system we have set up right now that gives us the databases so people know when they're married, they know when the all of that. The way it used to be was the churches, because the churches
Hmm.
were where people like the communities would go to the churches typically, or towards their religious groups typically, and so it would be within those religious groups that they would have the shame aspect or the judiciary type aspect to what if you screwed up a marriage, or um, so I mean I get that, I understand it. I think that the prevalence, that I think that the amount, not so much the prevalence, but the amount that the government has in play with our marriages, they have made it an economic strategy. And I think that we're going to have to get away from as well. They're going to
Hmm.
have to stop the monetization of marriage and divorce. Until they do that, I think that'll always be something we'll have to deal with. And I don't even know if we can get away from that completely, because you do have to pay fees in order to have a court appearance for a divorce or any of that. You do have to pay fees in order to have an appearance for a judge at a wedding. I mean, or whoever at a wedding. So I mean, I don't think we'll be able to get away from it completely, but I think minimizing it will create an easier path for people to wanting to be doing that. And on the flip side of that, the the understanding that breaking that contract should be just as bad as if you broke a cell phone contract, or worse. Like, it shouldn't be easier than breaking a cell phone contract. I agree with that. If you're gonna get married, you're committing, you're giving an oath, a vow to
Yeah.
the other person that will be a lifelong vow. Like, I think we've gotten so far away from our words meaning things that those words don't mean what they used to. And until we can enforce the meaning of those words, we will not see the divorce stats drop at a significant rate. We
There's
have
a
to get away from no fault divorce. I agree.
Yeah. There's another topic that I forgot and I would like to, now that you mention it. It's like I've seen these a lot lately. That there's this kind of, when we're talking about communication, there's this
Hmm.
idea of we're talking the same language, and I'm starting to believe that there's like a difference in language when it comes to men and women, especially when it comes to
Oh,
dating.
yeah.
And for example, I give this example the last time I was looking at at your dating topic with at grids. At one point, Sarah says we need to align, and I just don't get what she actually means by it.
I
And
get what she means,
yeah, and
what she meant in that.
let me finish this real quick, and we
Sure.
continue. So when I hear the word, it's like I understand what it means in English, but if you actually think about it, it can mean different things when she's saying alignment. And I don't think that men and women are using or are connecting to the same concept a lot of the times, right?
Yeah. We have different ways of communicating and different ways of viewing the world. Then, like, for and this is why I will say the alignment concept is a feminist doctrine concept. We cannot align perfectly. There's no way to do that. We
Hmm.
think differently. It's an entailment of us each being unique and bringing something unique to the relationship. It's why we're created the way we are. Men see the world through facts, data, building things, the amount of people that are around us, the risk that's there for our family members. Like, our awareness is heightened whenever we're out in public with our wives and our children. It's that way for a reason, so that we can be aware of dangers coming to them, so that we can stop that from happening. Women don't have that same level of awareness all the time. So, and especially not when they're out with someone, that
Mhm.
level of awareness actually drops when they're with their husband out in public, because they feel like their husband is going to keep them safe. So
Yeah.
they're like, us being able to align just isn't going to happen. I understand what she was saying, but it's not a reality that we can try and approach. You can't align two people perfectly right next to each other. What you can do is work as a team, because you each bring different things to a relationship, to a partnership, a friendship, any of that. That we understand throughout team building in companies. So I don't understand why people shy away from that when you're talking about relationships. Relationships are the same thing. You're a team. So that team building concept of everybody bringing something a little different to the team should be understood. We shouldn't align 100%. We really shouldn't. That's insane to think about. That means we're all automatons. We're all robots fighting one cause, doing one thing. We shouldn't be that way.
Yeah. And I do think that there is a little bit of weaponization when it comes to like the idea of alignment, because it is not talking about agreement on I don't think it's talking about the agreement on things when it comes to like worldviews. It talks about like the way I feel, well, not feel, I think that it's trying um to pressure kind of one side to go towards the other side, instead of
Hmm.
thinking of it as a whole when it comes to the relationship. So yeah, we don't need to align in every aspect, and we may not align in this aspect of our relationship, but we understand that there is these differences between each other. And I think that there's a little bit of weaponization when it comes to alignment, because it kind of is trying to tell the other person that uh, they have to force themselves into a different position. And maybe there's a big problem there that they cannot actually uh, see that kind of alignment. Instead, they will be way better if they have some kind of agreement, or if they have some kind of duty towards the other instead. So
Hmm.
it's like a different framework, and the reference is completely different from even from the wording itself, right? So
Yeah.
there is there's these, and I think that they're not mean. I don't think that it's like a mean, like a bad word or anything like that. I just think that there is a problem in the reference, and the way that they're using the word,
Well,
and the way that we see the word even.
yeah, see, this is the thing though, and I like that you brought up the way we're using the word, or the way we see it, things like that. Something that all of us men know to some degree is that women use words as weapons. Women use words to create the world around them. We're the builders, they're the socializers. We create the society, they socialize it by keeping us all communicating, talking, doing all these things, right? Like this is how we naturally do things. The fact that we're not willing to approach that women use words as weapons, like epistemic alignment is a weaponized word. Alignment is a weaponized word. Insecurity is a weaponized word. Manipulation is a weaponized word. Control is a weaponized word. Judgment is a weaponized word. But these are all things we fucking do, all of us. So for us men to be brainwashed into believing that we shouldn't be doing those things that have been weaponized, the words that have been weaponized, that's just stupid of us. We need to get past that concept of saying this thing is always bad, this thing is always good. We need to be able to approach the concept and the understanding of what it is that's being pushed on us by these words, so that we
Mm.
can actually approach the true understanding that we're trying to get to, like what it is that's actually trying to be said. Like when someone says, oh well, you won't let your girlfriend go out and do single girl things, like that's very controlling and manipulative and that means you're insecure. I'm showing you right now these words are weaponized, but that is literally what everything in relationships is about, is controlling for the best outcome, manipulating for the best outcome, and not each other all the time in bad ways. Like my wife would manipulate me in good ways, and I knew she was doing it. I let her do it because it was awesome. It helped me build myself up, and I did better at work. This is what we should be embracing. Why are these concepts being weaponized in such a way that makes us all want to avert them so much? We shouldn't manipulate the world around us. Well, congratulations, you have a fucking opposable thumb. That means you can literally manipulate the world around you. Like why try and break away from that reality? Why do we as men fall into that so much and believe that bullshit so much and the weaponization of words? This is the era where social media is very prevalent. Not understanding that words are weaponized is going to defeat the good concepts we're trying to create in the world, which is that we do control things, we do manipulate things, we do make judgment calls on good and bad. We do understand that people have insecurities, and typically they have insecurities because of the way the people around them behave. So if I'm a man in a relationship and my girl wants to go out and do single girl stuff, I'm gonna feel a little insecure about our relationship. And you know what? That's fucking justified. I should feel insecure if my girl wants to go out and do single girl bullshit. She's not my girl anymore. Like it's ridiculous for us to allow ourselves to be brainwashed, manipulated, and controlled by people using these words in an attack way. It
And
really is.
yeah, and I think it's there can be some justification even for women to be using these kind of words, because as you said, they are creating like the social environment around us, so they should be able to utilize if it's a social environment, there must be
Hmm.
some kind of manipulation of language and even weaponization of language that has to be part of, so that they can create and build the world around the social structure, just like we do with the world around us when it comes to the material structure of the world. And
Hmm.
there's actually no big problem in both cases, as long as the understanding and the basis of it is for the betterment of even the family, which I think is the big agreement that we should have when we're getting into our relationship. It's like, this is the
Sure.
agreement. We are together, we are a team, and we're gonna use anything in our power to make this better for both of us, and it doesn't matter what
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah, absolutely. I just, like I said, I just think that us not understanding that things are weaponized. And look, yeah, you're right. There are times that that words should be weaponized in a way to provide a good outcome. All right,
Mhm.
nothing wrong with that. The intent that's there is the most important thing, though. If the intent is for your own self, has nothing to do with anyone else, but is for your own greed gain, your own, you're having a bad intent. You don't have a good intent. If your intent is to heal yourself, to grow yourself, or whatever, that's fine. But weaponization of words doesn't typically lead to you growing yourself or healing yourself. It typically leads to one of the bad things in life, because you are affecting somebody else in a negative way by attacking them with weaponized words. The only time you really want to do that is in the judiciary process, or when you're shaming someone for a bad behavior or something like that. And you don't even have to weaponize, like use words that are normal in a weaponized way. You can just tell them, "Shame on you for fucking that chick and not marrying her and knocking her ass up. Get the fuck out of my house." Like that's not weaponization of words in the way that I'm talking about. That's not using words that are just factual words for describing what we do in a way that elicits an emotional response in people that's negative.
Yeah.
I'm talking about those words that are right now used that elicit a negative response in people. Somebody says, "Oh, that's weird that you do that." What's the first thing that most people think about in that context? Weird means you're probably a PDF, or you're probably a,
Oh,
a,
yeah.
a grapist, or you're probably, so like that word itself has been weaponized. Weird used to just be like you were different. It just used to be you're fucking different. And now it's like that is uh, almost in the entailment line of these sexualized topics. Why does everything have to go down that direction? Why, like, we need to understand our language is being used against us. Sometimes we use it against ourselves. And if we don't get that in our minds, we're not going to be able to communicate correctly and effectively and honestly with each other.
And I think it happens on both sides as well, which is not
Oh
it's
yeah,
not only women that are weaponizing language. There are like there are ways in which men weaponize language as well. That's very
absolutely.
that can be used very effectively, and we like everybody knows it, right? I don't think
Hmm.
it's a problem. Um, when
Absolutely, I agree.
there yeah I don't have I don't have a next topic prepared. I see a question in chat, which is by Cat, which says, "What the fuck is single girl shit?" Um, I don't I don't know.
Well, it depends on your relationship and what standards you have set, what boundaries you have set, what controls you have set for each other. Like single guy shit, like for me, what I would consider single guy shit, me going to a fucking bar where I'm not hanging out with my best friends and my buddies. I'm going there to meet chicks, or I'm going there to hang out with someone that's not my girlfriend or wife. That would be
Yeah.
single guy behavior. I wouldn't do that if I was in a relationship with a girl. You know, that's just not right. Single
Oh, I
girl
see.
shit, about the same thing. You don't you don't go out to regular public events all made up and gussied up and looking like you're ready for like your next husband to come along. That's single girl behavior, you know? The, there are things that girls know they do to attract guys. If you're doing things that you would normally do to attract guys, that's single behavior. Now, if you're trying to look attractive for your husband, hey, that's cool. That's great. Husbands appreciate that. It makes them feel special, makes them feel good, and they love to look at you when you do that.
Yeah,
But we
they
all
do.
understand the differences. Yeah, absolutely, man.
Yeah, well, they're
Absolutely.
when you go home and you just know your significant other is there and they're like dressed up and dolled up, you're like, huh, what
Oh
are we
yeah.
doing? What the hell's going on? This is amazing. Yeah, you love that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and it's approaching factual reality. We both sides, men and women, both sides understand the things that we do when we're single, what we would do when we're single, and we can have an idea of what we're not going to do when we're in a relationship. I do think there's, like exceptions to the rule that don't understand these concepts right, but I don't think that's the majority of society. From what I've seen, just talking to all the people I've talked to, I don't think that's the majority of society. I think the majority of society knows, females know what is single female and relationship female behavior. Males know what is single male and relationship male behavior. When you're in a relationship, you shouldn't be doing the single shit anymore. You should move away from that. When you're not in a relationship, fine, whatever. You know, I mean, it's just it's respecting the person that you're with, and it's not respecting yourself if you're continuing to do single behavior when you're in a relationship. If you're in a relationship, you should both be building up and doing everything you can to maximize the outcome of the relationship, not continuing to go out and doing single behavior shit because that's definitely not going to help the fucking relationship.
Yeah, what you're talking
That's
about
meaning
is
you're alone.
yeah, what you're talking about is pretty much if you are in a you're pretty much getting into a relationship, you're trying to change the behavior that you have towards the other sex because you're already in a relationship with the other sex. So there is you're trying to minimize the
Yeah.
risk of attracting other people that are not necessarily your significant other, and at the same time you're trying to maximize the likelihood that you will be with this person and make the relationship work. And that yeah,
Yeah.
that's pretty much that's yeah, that makes sense to me.
It works. I say it on both sides. I mean I've got friends that over time I've lost because I've told them, dude, you're married. I swear to God, dude, if you stick your dick in that chick and I find out, we ain't gonna be friends anymore because that's not the dude that is my best friend. Like
Yeah.
that's all there is to it. Like I'm not gonna fucking tolerate that shit around me. It's the way the world is. You have to be able to say these things to people, hold each other accountable, and shame them before they do the act. If you know they're about to go and do the act, you have to be able to do this shit. Hold each other accountable. Guys,
Yeah,
we
don't
need each
do
other.
it. Yeah, just
We
like
need each
hey,
other to
yeah.
hold each other accountable.
I can agree with that, and I think there is a lot of lack of accountability, which we were talking about before, and this comes back to blaming, right? It's like, oh well, I did
Mhm.
this, but in reality, the problem is other that is not me, and we want to go get away from that kind of behavior and going back into the no, you are the problem because you did this, and it's not a problem with everybody else or the other sex, but it's a problem with you, and then you can have actual accountability and get away from this actual
Yeah,
dichotomy between men and women, even though we have been talking in generalities between men and women.
yeah. And there's nothing wrong with single behavior when you're single. There's not. That's normal. You're trying to meet people. You're going out. Ladies, you're looking your best. Gentlemen, hopefully you're fucking grooming yourself and you look your best. Women, you're trying to be the beautiful flower that attracts the wasp or bee or whatever to you. Men, you're trying to be the bee, and I think this is a great analogy because men have the stingers and women have the. So that's where we'll go with that.
Yep.
It's normal, but in relationships, respect is a big thing for both sides. It's just seen differently, but the respect has to be there, whether it's respect through love or love through respect, because men love through respect, women respect through love. So you just have to embrace who you are and what it is that makes you good at what it is that you do in the relationship and bring that to the relationship. If you find your person, hey man, awesome. I feel great for you. I have really from a guy that's had one failed marriage and one marriage that I wish would have continued and gotten better, but she passed, I hope nothing more than for everybody to find their person. I don't think it'll happen for everybody because it's really unrealistic and hard for all of us to be able to find our match. But I hope you can at least find someone you can live with, if not someone you match perfectly with.
Yep.
But I do
I
hope that everyone finds happiness.
yeah, I there's a lot of there are other ways in which you can actually go out in life, which I think has been forgotten and has been underappreciated. But there was a reason why nuns and priests exist in a sense, right? Like there's vows of but
Hmm.
not necessarily priests, but I mean monks. There were vows of celibacy. There were a lot of different ways in which you could actually go out in a different sense and live your life in accordance to good values without the necessity of dating and having a
Oh yeah.
different purpose in life, which I think it's
Hmm.
completely fine and acceptable. The only when we're talking about the general population, though, I do think that dating is it's important and it can bring a lot of joy to the people, and we have to be able to hold ourselves accountable to our decisions and to our own um, to what we've done in life so that we can move forward and have a better society at the end of the day.
Oh yeah.
Cleaner, I'm gonna leave the last word to you, and then you can tell us where we can find you, and if you have any plans or anything.
Last word.
Yeah. You can
Last word
tell the
would be
ladies, you can sway the ladies in chat to hit you up if need be.
no, no. I don't need any of that. Um, I don't have any delusions of finding my next wife or life partner or any of that. That won't sway me away from dating and trying to find someone. But I don't have any delusions of that. What I tell people is I hope that you guys do find someone, and I said happiness earlier, but I look at it differently. When I say happiness, I mean generally over the course of your life, you have a fulfilled life, you have a satisfying life, and you have a generally over time a happy life. I don't mean that like each day you have a perfectly happy day, but I do hope that everyone finds that because that would create a much better world if we were all fulfilled.
Where can we find you, Cleaner?
Everywhere that there are good people creating content, I will jump in and I will help people and I will have the conversations and I will bring what little wisdom I've got through my short life in to try and give other people a better outcome than what I've had myself. So my failings, I hope you guys learn from. My positives that I try and answer, I hope you guys learn from. I hope it helps you. I'm not trying to espouse any specific wisdom towards anyone specifically. I just hope that everyone has a really good life and a really fulfilled life.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think we all got a little bit of something out of these that is not necessarily we hate each other, but more of a way of how can we see the other people that we want to have some kind of relationship with. If you're looking for someone, if you're going through these kind of situations, then
Hmm.
there's no one there's never gonna be one size fit all. There's no way that we can get to that kind of odds per se, or that kind of prescription. But yeah, I hope that everybody can come out of these conversation thinking of a better way in which they can go out in life and have a fulfilling life. um
Absolutely.
I'm gonna let you go, Cleaner. Thank you so much for everything. I'm just gonna close out the stream myself, and I'll be giving a little bit some announcements real quick on my end. Okay, so thank you so
Well,
much for
thank you for
joining me.
having me. I'm gonna drop out now. Thank you for having me, Emmett. I do appreciate it, and I hope the best to you and on the streaming side now that you're doing it more often.
Yeah, we can. We're gonna be. If you probably want to tune in because it's gonna be fun. I'm gonna be doing a YouTube invasion with Cecil this Wednesday, tomorrow night.
Cool.
He's gonna be doing Mr. Guru See the Soul, and I might bring back the Demetor. So it's gonna be like a wrestler and a See the Soul guy going online doing the craziest kind of invasion that we can. So that's gonna be funny.
Well, I look
Uh,
forward to watching it then. Well, do you have a time frame for tomorrow when it happens?
yes, it's gonna be a little bit later at night instead of at this hour, probably around
Cool.
8 p.m. I would say Central. That's
Awesome.
probably when we're gonna be starting. I still don't have a perfect time frame. I'll give an announcement. I'm gonna message Cecil later on today and get that ready. Um,
Cool. Well, I have my notifications on for the channel, so if it pops up on your schedule, I'll get it on my phone when I'm out and about. I'll make sure I'm on there to watch.
okay, so thank you so much for coming on. You're always
Thank you.
welcome, and it was a pleasure talking to you, Cleaner. Have a good one.
You too, sir. Stay safe.
Stay safe. Hey, announcements real quick. So we have. Why are you fired up? First of all, Kat, I think I was a perfectly nice gentleman and understanding of all sides in this conversation. Um, I, I think I was perfect in this conversation, so there shouldn't be anything wrong. I did nothing wrong. Okay. I may have cope a little bit over there at some points, but nothing wrong. Nothing wrong. Um, um, Today, later on today, we're gonna have Abe Dinkus is gonna be doing a Suno AI music battle uh with with Dan. So Dan and Abe are gonna have their Suno battle later on today. That's gonna be pretty fun, and I will recommend everybody to go up and check it out. We are going to have tomorrow the invasion with See the Soul, Mr. Guru See the Soul, and I probably bring back Demetor, which is gonna be funny. I hope everybody enjoys that one. We're gonna be going all over the place, doing a bunch of crazy uh, arguments, and probably be doing a ton of steel men in the opposite side, and then making them look ridiculous. That's the whole point of it. Thursday we have um, Thursday we have karaoke night with Grumpelstiltskin. We're gonna be there for a while, and then I'm probably just gonna do a boring stream. Friday, probably just gonna do a boring stream or a gaming stream. I'm not entirely sure, but we're gonna be doing something later today. I'll be doing art, pixel art. So I'm gonna come back and I'll be probably just doing pixel art without a cam. So if people just want to hang out, listen to some music and see me art for a little while, that would be fine. And then finally Saturday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time, we start with Force Karaoke again. and I'm probably gonna get Fredo. If Fredo can come up, that will be fun, and I'll see if anybody is able to come up. If Kat would like to have a conversation with me about this topic, now that I know she's fired up and she has a lot to say on the topic, I am willing to have her on. I am so much willing to have her on, and we can have this conversation so that she can tell us what is the side of the woman on all of these, and yeah, I would really enjoy having that conversation. So I'll be asking if she wants to do it, because I will really enjoy that. Finally, Sunday I'll be gone. I will not be on the internet, and I'm not planning to stream at all. So probably Sunday, and then the day after is will be Monday, and I'll see what I'll do. Oh, there's another option for Friday. We may have a dating panel that I'll be participating with Abe Dinkus on his channel. It's not it's not 100%. Um, so it is what it is. You don't align with being on stream. Oh, okay. Well, I my offer stands. I would absolutely like to hear your perspective on this topic with me, and I'm gonna give you as much time to talk as you can, because it's just gonna be me and you, just like happened with Cleaner. You're not gonna be on a panel. Um, so that is I understand though, if you're not aligning on that aspect, it's totally fine. Yeah, I'm gonna leave. I'm gonna go eat with my mom. We're gonna go out to eat today, which we haven't done in a long time, and I'm gonna have a little bit of fun, and then I'll be back later on. I don't think there is any other um no open panels today. I don't no not today. No. Okay. Um yeah. As I said, it's an offer. It's not a obviously it's not a if it's a no, it's a no, right? So yeah, that's it on my end for today. I will have to once again say thank you so much to Cleaner. He did a great job. He was absolutely. I think he really gave us a lot of insight as to what we're looking at. Does Mama Emmett know her son has an intro song to play? No, Mama Emmett doesn't know. Thank you, Agri. Thank you for everything. And thank you, Kat, for being in chat. Thank you, all of the people who are here. Scott K2, El Lion, Fucky Button Cleaner, Lindsay Smith, Corey Barton, Arctic Timberwolf. All of you are amazing. If you can hit the like and sub, that would be greatly appreciated. I'm probably gonna make this a video, and for now, I will have to say to you all, have an excellent rest of your day. Hope to see you all soon.